With the Bundesliga wrapping up its season in spectacular fashion, our attention now returns to the Virtual Bundesliga, which has been just as unpredictable as its counterpart. The big difference is that today we will crown a new champion. Megabit, the reigning title holder in the Virtual Bundesliga Grand Final, was knocked out in the knockout stages, and we are now down to our final 4 players. The best 2 on FIFA20 on the PS4, Deto and MoAuba. The best 2 on FIFA 20 on the Xbox One, DullenMIKE and Yannick of Augsburg. And we are set up for 2 fantastic console finals before we will then crown the cross-console winner later today. We have seen the full array of FIFA 20 experiences throughout this grand final tournament. We started on Wednesday. The knockout stages were on Thursday. Today we return for the final, where we will actually crown our winner. And in fairness, we've had the heartbreak of a group stage exit. We've seen golden goal drama in the knockout stages. It is set up so perfectly. So hello and welcome, one and all, wherever you are in the world, whether you're joining us today for the first time or whether you have joined us again for the 3rd time in a row. We welcome you all. My name is James Surrogate, alongside me, my good friend Alex Chaffer. Alex, how excited are you for this, the final day of the Virtual Bundesliga Grand Final, where, as we point out, and we will reiterate many a time, we will have a new title winner?
First and foremost, I'm just excited that Deto got here so that we can see your flamingo shirt live on stream. I think that's awesome. So good on you for pulling through with it.
It's not too garish. I feel like I'm pulling it off.
I feel like you could have gone for more flamingos on the shirt, but that's just me.
You can never have enough flamingos.
No, exactly. But on today's action, I mean, you know, we've had the last couple of days where we've been from, you know, the semi-finals to waiting for this, and just like the players, I've been sat here waiting eagerly. I've been at home, obviously, watching all the Bundesliga games unfold on the real-life pitch yesterday, and I just couldn't wait to get back here for today. So I'm really excited to see how things go, and I genuinely think all 4 players have a really good chance of actually winning it. I don't see a genuine favourite. Obviously, we've got experience across the board. We've got young guns who have made a flying start to this tournament, and we have the FIFA World Champion MoAuba in the final 4. But I really don't see a favourite.
No, I think that is the brilliant thing about this. Yes, MoAuba is looking to get to the cross-console finals for a 2nd season in a row, and I think on paper, with many a casual fan or a Virtual Bundesliga expert, he would be seen as the favourites. But the way we've seen these players perform over the course of all the games in the grand final, I think it's fair to say that MoAuba can't be considered the outright favourite, because everyone has a claim at this, and the storylines are fantastic. You know, Deto, 2-time world champion himself back in the early 2010s. MoAuba, now the current world champion, looking to become the champ, if you can add the German title to his trophy cabinet this season. Of course, we've got DullenMIKE, who really is the new kid on the block that you were talking about, a man who finished his end-of-year exams on Wednesday in between his first 2 games of the group stages, and he has made some big waves in this one as well, coming through some tough knockout stage matches. And then he will face another very tough competitor in Yannick, who I think is seen by many as the underdog in all of this out of the final 4. But when you consider the fact that this is the 2nd season in a row he has reached the Xbox One final, there's a pedigree there that comes with this 19-year-old who has a very smart head on his shoulders, seemingly very well versed in things outside of the FIFA world. And when it comes to breaking him down in the game, he's a tough nut to crack, and he's proved that throughout this tournament.
Yeah, he's the one that's somehow least been spoke about in all of this. But, you know, we've looked at the stats and seen, you know, he's conceded so few goals. And then also at the other end, he's actually had 100% of his attempted shots go on target. So this guy is clinical at both ends of the pitch. He keeps it simple. He doesn't like to be flashy, and in the end, he gets the results that get him to the grand final day. So who knows how far he can go in this day. Obviously, we're looking across all the big names, and he's one that's sort of flown a little bit under the radar. So watch out for him as well, because he could cause an upset.
I almost hope he has Marco Richter with him in the room just to cheer him on. I know those 2 built up a great rapport during the Bundesliga home challenge. Yannick was one of the big players in that as well. One of the few actually to compete on all 4 match days of the Bundesliga home challenge that was brought into effect with the ongoing coronavirus pandemic that then forced everyone to take a hiatus. We thought the Virtual Bundesliga would be one of those that would actually keep the ball rolling, because considering the fact that it can all be done online. But they took the safe approach in terms of saying, you know what, we will delay it, we'll figure things out. This is now an online tournament as opposed to an offline tournament where it would have been held in one event hall with a fair, crowd around them and a few teammates as well to cheer them on. But as a result, we're doing it online. They're doing it from the comfort of their own homes. And we have, as I said, we've had a great amount of entertainment from this whole experience. 384 goals in 150 games, just 7 goalless draws. You've got to enjoy that as a neutral as well. And that is what has made this such a great tournament and so unpredictable. And I guess, after what we saw yesterday in the Bundesliga, Alex, there were goals galore. We can hope for the same here, and let's be honest, they've got a track record for it. But someone that will be fully motivated and flying high after yesterday is MoAuba, as if he needed it anymore. I mean, the Werder Bremen fan coming out yesterday feeling very good about what happened in the Bundesliga, and I'm sure he'll be looking to take that momentum into his own games today.
Of course, yeah. Unbelievable from Werder Bremen to not fully escape relegation, but escape automatic relegation. We'll see how they get on in the relegation playoff on the real-life pitch. But he did send out some congratulations to Werder Bremen as well. And you could see on his social media, actually, all day yesterday, he was training for today by playing Bayer Leverkusen on the 85 mode against Hausfeld Umut, his good friend on the esports scene. So he's fit and ready to go for this game. He's been preparing for it, like I'm sure everyone else has, all day, just preparing for the 85 mode finals that we have and going up against the opponent that they're facing. So Leverkusen is one for him, and obviously that's the first game we'll be looking at today.
Well, talk to me about this 85 game mode as well. We should explain it to anyone that may be joining us for the first time today. The whole tournament, the whole Virtual Bundesliga, during its regular season is played on the 85 game mode, and during the grand final, it has been as well. That wasn't the case last season. The players have had to adapt to the change of system, let's say, when it comes to how these games are being executed. But what are the big setbacks for these players, and what are the big plus points that we need to be looking out for when it comes to the 85 game mode, Alex?
I mean, obviously, some of the setbacks are that skill moves are reduced for these guys, and obviously they're not getting to play with guys who are like 90+ rated as they're used to doing so on Ultimate Team. So they're all capped at 85 rated, all these players. It means that all the teams are fairly evenly contested against, you could get a Zweite Bundesliga team against the Bundesliga team, but there's no problem with that at all. A lot of the defenders might still be a little bit slower than attackers, and midfielders have better passing than strikers. Those little tweaks are still in the game, but it's not as marginally different as you could have by playing with what these guys have on their ultimate teams. Is quite ridiculous. So if they were bringing those to the forefront, it could be quite interesting. But it means that it's an even contest straight from the start, and it comes down to the basic skills that these guys have and a little bit of luck on the way, and the drama is there. It's all on an even playing field, and we see things like MoAuba coming from behind, scraping a victory from the jaws of defeat by winning his golden goal game against Lefty to get to this point. So it brings the drama at the highest point.
I was going to say, shall we take a look at the way the knockout stages unfolded and maybe take a look at the bracket as a reminder for everyone at home exactly what happened, because you've mentioned one of the highlights, but it was not the only one from the knockout stages. Both on the PlayStation side of the bracket and the Xbox One side of the bracket, I think we really had a lot to get our teeth into, and it genuinely started quite early, especially on the Xbox side, when we lost the title defender, the man who, was the reigning champion, Megabit, and we lost him in the very first round of fixtures in the knockout stages.
Yeah, that's it. It's a good reminder for everyone that we actually had Megabit all the way there. You see that against De Gaucho. He came up unstuck in the second leg with that 2-0 defeat, and he went out early. We saw a lot of big names drop out as well. Fenomeno had won his group on the Xbox side of things. He lost to Impact. Alex Chappie as well, which was a name we'd been speaking about a lot. Hakuna Matata up on the PlayStation side of things was a man in form as well, but he dropped out. So, we have experience with the guys like Deto and MoAuba who have pulled through, but they've had to do it the hard way, because there's been a lot of guys who've come in and shown that they can pull it off at the highest level when they need to. De Gaucho, even against DullenMIKE, almost got back in that second leg game. We saw him go 2-0 up in that second leg, and we thought, oh my goodness, what is happening here? Another second leg comeback from one of these guys. I mean, Deto's performance against Lucas was probably the most convincing. It was two very different games. As you see from the scoreline, the 5-0 scoreline doesn't really reflect everything that we saw from that game. The first one was a really evenly contested game, very few chances. Lucas had one moment, I remember, where he hit the post and had a goal line clearance 3 times in the space of a minute. He could have easily got himself a goal, but Deto took advantage of that position that he was in with 0-0 to seize on the moment in the second leg.
Well, let me ask you about that, because you made a very good point when we were watching those two games, that you felt like Deto had used the first game to really suss out Lucas's preferences, his rhythm, what he liked to do, and was therefore able to telegraph a lot of what he wanted to do in that second game and then take full effect for Deto. Do you think he has that liberty against MoAuba? Because my feeling is if he tries to do that in the first game against MoAuba, he could find himself behind and then for constantly trying to catch up in the game, and that can cause problems for someone like Deto.
Yeah, against MoAuba, it's not always as easy to take that amount of time, because you know MoAuba is going to come flying out of the blocks, and he's also someone that in the second leg likes to turn it on even more. He's someone who, just like Deto, likes to figure things out in the first leg, see what he's coming up against, and then in the second leg have not a new game plan, but tweaks to his old game plan, and really get things going into the second leg. So both these guys want to start this game early and get out the blocks quickly. And we are ready to go here now, James.
We are indeed, and we cannot wait. This is the PS4 side of the bracket, the best two FIFA 20 players on the console this season. Kai Deto Vollen of Bayer Leverkusen, Mohamed MoAuba Harkus of Wolfsburg this season. You may have thought, oh, he was representing Werder Bremen last season when he reached the final, losing to Megabit 8-4. In the end, his teammate this time representing Wolfsburg, looking to go one better at the very least. And the question is, can the man who lifted the FIFA E-World Cup title make it count when it matters most? And it's an early promising start for him in the opening goal with the opening chance, Alex. And this is exactly what we were talking about pre-match. MoAuba coming straight out of the traps, herring out of the traps.
We said both these guys would want to start early and get the first goal. No surprises that MoAuba is the one who does that. Superb first move. Daniel Ginczek has been such a danger man for him. So much power in his forward line. Puts Wout Weghorst out on the wing and has another big man up top in Daniel Ginczek to support him, and makes that run in behind, and the finish across goal is superb as well. Deto just unable to track that runner in behind. But again, we did say we'd expect some early goals, and we get exactly that as well here at the Volkswagen Arena.
But it has to be said, MoAuba has been full of them, especially in the knockout stages. Comfortably the highest scorer of anyone during the PS4 bracket. 8 goals in the quarterfinals, 5 in the semi-finals, and he's got an early one here in the final. An early warning message being sent to Deto from the man who came so close to claiming this title last season. A chance to become both the world champion and German champion simultaneously. That would be quite a moniker to have for someone like MoAuba.
It's interesting to note, actually, just looking at MoAuba's results from this competition, the only first leg defeat he actually suffered so far has been against Lefty in the last round. He suffered a 3-2 defeat in that one. Every other game he's played, the first leg has gone his way. Had one draw in the group stages against Hakuna Matata. And he beat P. George convincingly in his first knockout game, so it is something for him to make sure he gets that opening win, or at least avoid defeat. He's on track to do that early here with a goal, but he has to make sure he doesn't let Deto come back into the game, because we saw this from Deto in all of his games, trying to control the possession. That's when he is at his best, patient in his build-up and working for that little movement now, like we have for Volland. Well cut out though by MoAuba, but that's what Deto is looking for. He's patient around the edge of the box and looking for that final threaded through ball that can get him in on goal.
Well, this is it we saw in Deto's semi-final against Lucas _1004. That his defensive work really set him apart in that game, and as a result, it's almost surprising to see him concede early. It won't have been in his game plan, I'm sure. And now we wait to see what his response will be, but that will give MoAuba so much confidence that against such a defensively sound player, as well, Victor was trying to sneak in there ahead of Fredetsky.
Yeah, on the results of the previous competition, as I was saying about MoAuba, Deto has not suffered a defeat in any of his first legs in this competition. He's only drawn 2 of those. One of those was against Lucas in the last round, where he obviously had that 0-0 to then go on and win 5-0 in the second round. So he too is not someone used to losing first time around. So we might have an early goal here, but don't think that this game is over already. There's so much time And neither of these guys will be happy to be done with the scoring so far.
Yeah, it really would be disappointing if, having got this far to get me the Flamingo shirt in the grand final, deto was then knocked out in the PS4 final so early. But he's got a chance here and he's got a goal back. Kai Havertz has not been the star of the show for Leverkusen in the virtual world, but he pops up at the vital moment there to level the scores, and that's quite some celebration.
It is indeed. The breakdance moves coming out again from Kai Havertz. When you press A using him, it is actually his default celebration, which is quite a fun one. I've never seen him do it in real life, but he does have reason to celebrate there. Just lovely movement to get past Gilbergi. MoAuba disappointed with his captain's work there at the back. And in the end, Havertz just making the perfect movement to meet deto's cross into the box, and powerful header. Gave no chance for Lino Castellan in the goal to make a save. Con Casteels, I should say, in the Wolfsburg goal.
Well, this is it. I mean, the difference in our two finals today, the PS4 final and the Xbox final, I mean, it couldn't be more different. In MoAuba and deto here, you've got two established pros that have been on the esports scene in FIFA for a very long time. Kai deto, Volin winning the World Championships in 2011 and 2012. He was the PS World Champion in 2017 and is a three-time German champion. MoAuba, we know he is the reigning FIFA E-World Cup champion, but a five-time German champion himself. And MoAuba was the one that put out a photo on Twitter of these two competing for some of those titles 4 years ago. So they have been around the block, but they bring this pedigree with them. And whereas on the PS4 side, I think the favourites have certainly pushed through. We've got the underdogs that have really made the story in the Xbox bracket. But you've got to think that as a result, these two will want to be sending a message of exactly what they can produce when the moment matters in this opening set of games between themselves before the cross-console final.
100%, because they know that these guys on the other side of things will be watching as well. And obviously, this is a huge encounter between two of the biggest names in the German esports world. But they have one more game to go, one more tie to go after this, and it is the big one, the grand final, whoever can make it there. So if they can come into that with momentum, with form, having beaten fellow experienced player in either MoAuba or deto, it will be huge for them going into that big grand final. deto trying to maybe get a go-ahead goal just before half-time here.
Yeah, being crowded out there by MoAuba, who produces the interception as well. And while Victor can bring the ball out, he has been one of the main men for the Wolfsburg competitors in the Virtual Bundesliga Grand Final. Just as I say that, of course, an errant pass straight to an opponent, giving deto possession back. And right now, both players, it has to be said, are doing well to break up the play in midfield. We all know how important breaking the lines is in FIFA 20. But at the halfway stage, it's 1-1. Well, MoAuba's definitely up for this. He still hasn't really tidied his bed, Alex.
He's one of the most emotional players around there. We saw it in that game against Lefty, where he sort of ran off after he'd conceded the goal in the second leg because he thought he was on the verge of exit. And it might be 1-1 here, but I can understand where he's coming from with this emotion, because I don't think either guy will be totally satisfied with that first half. We see just one shot and one shot on target for each guy, obviously both resulting in a goal, but both are such attack-minded players that they want to get more and more shots on goal. MoAuba's had over 3 shots per game in this tournament on average, so he's someone that is definitely attack-minded and wants to push the ball forward as much as he can. But as you said, James, both defences have been on top so far. Even if it is 1-1 and both sides have conceded, the break-up play and pressing from midfield, especially around the edges of their own box, it's been superb so far. The way that these guys are used to being able to unlock a defence, they've only been able to do it once so far, and that's a credit to both guys.
Well, there's so many things about their first half performances that will please both. They reduced their opponent to very few chances. They were clinical with their few chances in front of goal themselves, and that's exactly how deto and MoAuba will both be feeling. And the fact that we've got a game that is very much being played on an even playing field between these two, and one of the highest standards, you know, are being set by these two as well. It's not surprising that it's this tight, especially in the first game, when really they are going to be a little more conservative, a little less, or a little more risk averse when they don't want to let this game get away from them and have to be chasing too much in that second leg. They want to be giving themselves a foundation to work with. And MoAuba, of course, he's frustrated. He scored the opening goal. He could have seen out that half, and he allowed deto to then generate some pressure, which ultimately produced the equaliser. And I think that's something we may see in the second half as to whether he can prevent that from happening. If he does manage to get an early goal again, MoAuba, because as you say, we know he's going to have chances. He is one of the most attacking and most feared attacking players out there on FIFA20 in the German scene. And right now, deto not only just flying the flag for the over 30s as well, which is a very important point to make, but he's also flying the flag for the players that qualified through the Virtual Bundesliga regular season. The rest of them, MoAuba, DullenMIKE and Yannick, all came through the playoffs. Deto's the one that's trying to fly that flag and represent well, but it's been a tough old tournament, really, for the Virtual Bundesliga regular season qualifiers.
Yeah, he's the last one standing, so he's got some work to do if he wants to show that, experience from playing the Virtual Bundesliga season does pay dividends in the grand final weekend. He's looking to work the ball now into the box again. It's Kai Havertz with a header off the post. The rebound is there, though. And it's Palacios who makes the move, gets on the rebound early. And we had the early goal from MoAuba in the first half, James. This time it's deto who goes ahead with an early goal in the second.
Yeah, the Leverkusen man has flipped the script in the second half. And you have to say, when the ball came back off the post, you thought the chance was gone. But Ezequiel Palacios was the right man in the right place at the right time to give deto the lead. And that little near-post run from Kai Havertz is causing problems. It's what brought about the first goal. It brought about the second goal as well, even though Havertz wasn't on the end of it. And he just seems to have a trick of being able to get his man across his marker.
It must have been something that he's worked on in the last few days, because it's not a goal we see often in the esports scene, a cross like that. It was not a real cross. It's actually just sort of a dink into the box from close range, actually. And it just causes mayhem for MoAuba. So that must be something that deto has picked up on, because Kai Havertz has been the man. We know how aerially good he is in real life. He transcends that into the virtual world as well. Fantastic tackle there from Kai Havertz as well. It's been fantastic for deto so far. Just now it's a different story. Now MoAuba has his back up against the wall. What can he do? Can he do what deto did in the first half and come back from behind? It's deto, though, who has started the better off in this second half.
There was an interview with MoAuba on Bundesliga.de where he talked about the fact that he felt it all comes down to mind games, but that's where he feels it is most confident. He feels like he tends to win the mind games, but right now it is deto asserting his dominance, and it's another near-post header this time. Jonathan Tah Castells again called into action, and all of a sudden the chances are cranking up in this second half after a very conservative first half between these two, and deto really taking it to MoAuba. And you do feel that, yes, while he is 2-1 up, he's got to reward himself further for this extended period of pressure.
So
right now,
if he can get a 2-goal lead going into the second leg, how vital could that be? Could end up turning into a wide open second leg if someone does have a 2-goal lead or more.
Oh, this is lovely play from deto as well, Chris. First time passing, and Palacios gets his second, but that was a dreamy goal, Alex.
What an outstanding team goal that is from deto. MoAuba could only watch. He could not react quick enough to that passing movement. He signalled for a pause already, so we won't see the replay right away. Outstanding, though, from deto. The movement, the passing planning. Every time he made a pass, he already had the next one set up. He was in that sort of form, and he's been one of the guys who's been most informed this tournament. We said he suffered only one defeat in the entire tournament so far, and that did come in the group stages against Lefty, who challenged MoAuba in the semi-finals. And so deto has been a man in total form. And we just mentioned how huge that could be going into the second leg. A 2-goal lead for one of these guys. It is deto, who's come from behind in this game. You can see on MoAuba's screen there, he's not happy with this at all. He's changing his formation, looking to make a move to get himself back into this game, because if he does go into the second leg 2 goals behind against someone like deto, who is in this form, it could prove too much for him to overcome, even someone like MoAuba.
I mean, MoAuba topped his group. He had some great performances in the group stages, good performances in the knockout stages, but there were moments where we saw vulnerability from him. And both of us were talking about this off-air before we came on, about the fact that we do feel like deto has it in him to beat MoAuba, especially given the fact that MoAuba hasn't been producing flawless FIFA. And if deto could then take advantage of that, it could benefit him. And right now, after being forced out of his shell by the early goal, he has taken full advantage. Karamoko trying to twist and turn in the box for MoAuba. You've got to think that he needs a goal soon.
Changes for both sides, as you can see, the fresh legs on in attack. If you've been with us across the grand final, you can see that that is so important to these guys. Around the 68, 70-minute mark, they make those changes. Because if your striker can get to a loose ball or have the reactions to get his shot away before a defender who's been on the pitch for the entire game, it can prove the only difference between scoring a goal and having your shot blocked or deflected away. Those little margins of error can prove so huge as Paulinho breaks into the box for deto.
Oh, he had MoAuba guessing there with some of his defensive movements, but Paulinho's pass goes astray. And now a chance for MoAuba to break, and you can see he's got men streaming forward, offering more options and adding to the numbers in the final third. Here's the goal scorer, Ginczek. And just like Paulinho at the other end, couldn't thread the ball through.
Deto doing superbly there to read that, because Ginczek was on the ball and had time. You could have gone for a drag back or a little ball roll to get some space, but then he just went for a simple pass, and Deto was there ready for it. As much as he is a superb player moving the ball forward, he's actually fantastic as well in his defensive work. And to keep someone like MoAuba to scoring only one goal in a game is an outstanding achievement in itself. So if you can do that here, and also having these goals, it's going to be a flawless performance from deto so far, which it has been with 10 minutes to go in this first leg. A reminder, we will have a second leg. We'll be going to the Bai Arena for that second leg. Deto will have home advantage and a 2-goal lead as it stands, unless MoAuba can produce something else in this final 10 minutes or so.
As it, normally we talk about MoAuba being able to delve into his bank of experience, but really the differential of that in this tie is minimal, because deto can do the exact same thing.
You can see as well, deto has all 11 players behind the ball when MoAuba has possession. He's not taking any chances here. He's on full defensive mode, and it makes life difficult for him, even if he has this composure at the back to pass around like that. But can't take that many chances against MoAuba.
He's got to avoid passes like that. MoAuba trying to make the most of it. Veikors with his back to goal. It's now found its way to Klaus, out to Itter. Chance to cross. Thought better of it. He goes with the cutback. Karamoko's there. But Karamoko strikes wide.
Huge opportunity, and how huge it would have been for MoAuba to get a goal late on here to reduce the deficit. He had numbers there at the back post. The ball just didn't fall the right way to any of his players. The pass going in between them all as it came across the face of the Leverkusen goal. But MoAuba here is having a good end to this game. Can he make the most of it and get a goal? He's still got perhaps one last chance to do so. We can have a last second pause here. Deto perhaps just, there he is, setting everyone back. No chance that anyone is pushing forward for Leverkusen now.
Yeah, MoAuba can't see this, but I feel like he knows exactly what's happening right now.
Yeah.
And he's not happy about it, and no one ever is when your opponent takes this approach to closing out the game. But deto, I mean, 3-1 up, you cannot blame him, because he'll have seen what happened to Lefty with the comeback in the semi-finals against MoAuba, where it went to golden goal, the only game that has suffered that fate yet, so to say, or I'd say has enjoyed that fate, because it was a very enjoyable, dramatic half an hour of FIFA time while we waited to see whether Lefty or MoAuba would get the first goal, and Lefty came very close, only for MoAuba to go up the other end and then get it himself. But as a result, deto wants to protect this 2-goal lead as best he can, because it would be a huge advantage in that second leg as he looks to crown himself the PS4 champion. MoAuba not getting his angles right with the cross there. And that is that for the first leg. It is Kai deto who takes an advantage into the second. A 3-1 win against MoAuba. MoAuba scored first, but deto did not let himself get thrown off and instead came back stronger. Picked up a stunning 3-1 win, and you've got to say that set him up so well for that second leg.
Superb from Deto to, first of all, have the, know it all and composure to think, I've gone behind here against someone like MoAuba, but I've got plenty of time. Let's calm this down. I know what I'm capable of, and he's clearly done the training, because those first 2 goals, both from crosses, both not headed goals, but coming from headed situations at goal. The first one being scored by Kai Havertz, the second one, Havertz hit the post, but it came out to Palacios and he made the most of the rebound. It's clearly something Deto has worked on. He's done his homework in the build-up to this game, and in that first leg, the homework paid off.
We've seen some lovely goals in this tournament as well, but I have to think Deto's third is arguably up there with the best of them in terms of the team build-up, how slick it was, how crisp it was, and then a sharp finish as well at the end of it from Ezequiel Palacios. I mean, the goal that I think has always stood out in my mind, and it came from day one, was Dr. Arjano's volley with Niklas Füllkrug, which was an absolute belter and really took us all by surprise, because I don't think any of us thought the shot was on, but that one from Deto was probably the best worked goal we've seen that allowed him to take that 3-1 lead into the second leg. And yeah, MoAuba now with a lot of work to do if he wants to stand a chance of going one better than he did last season when he lost in the final to Megabit, the cross-console final, against his Werder Bremen teammate. He wants to go one better, but to do that, he's now going to have to overturn a 2-goal deficit, which is an easier thing that's said than done.
He has to score first in this game. That's what he has to do, because a 3-goal deficit in one game is near impossible for someone to overturn. I know MoAuba is the big name here, and has all this experience and is arguably one of the most talented esports guys in the world right now, but Deto is the man in form this weekend, and if he gets a 3-goal lead coming into this second leg late on, there's very little chance I see him letting that slip. So it's crucial here that MoAuba gets the first goal in the second leg. Who knows if he's going to change his formation, maybe fix up some things, because we know he's done the preparation for this, but he would not have prepared to be 3-1 down going into the second leg. So I'm interested to see what he does going into this second leg.
Yeah, it was also one of our questions coming into this as to who would be able to stay sharp over the 2 days where we were off. We started the whole thing on Wednesday with the group stages. Thursday was the knockout stages. And then there was this 2-day break where, yes, MoAuba, Deto, DullenMIKE, Yannick, I'm sure were all training. They were probably all testing themselves in the 85-game mode against a variety of other players, other pros. But in terms of actually retaining that match sharpness coming into the games that matter, and it looked like MoAuba made a really sharp start. But the problem is he then allowed Deto to claim control of proceedings. And I think that's something with Deto we've seen a lot in his games. When he is given the license to dictate the play the way he wants it to be, he's incredibly successful. And no one seems to be able to throw him off his game at that point. And I was hoping MoAuba would be a little bit more unpredictable in trying to throw Deto off his game and maybe try and take control himself. But you have to give credit to the Leverkusen man, because he really did assert his own will on that game.
Yeah, 100%. And I spoke about it while we were watching that game unfold, but his defensive work as well, Deto, was fantastic, because MoAuba is usually the guy who can thread a ball through the eye of a needle sometimes and get that ball into the opposition box and find the back of the net from all sorts of angles. But Deto didn't allow him to do that, and at the other end, he was finding all the angles he needed to get the scoring underway. And you mentioned the break that we saw coming into the knockout rounds from the group stages. So many guys who had been in form from the group stages fell at the first hurdle. We saw Megabit go out, of course. We saw Fenomeno as well. Both those guys finished top of their groups. And at the other end of the spectrum, De Gaucho scraped in to the knockout rounds and then almost got himself into this final day of play. So who knows, they've done all this preparation for the last few months as well. We have to remember this is a delayed grand final. We were expecting this to take place back at the end of March. We're now here at the end of June, and it's been a long wait for these guys, but they've had the weekend, they've had the couple of days off, and being able to maintain that form is so difficult, especially on the FIFA level when you play so many games in preparation and it all comes down to one or two fine moments. And at the moment, Deto is the one who clearly has made the most of his preparation, because 2 of his 3 goals came from situations which I haven't seen him really, score many from in the past.
No, I don't think we've seen many players score those types of goals this weekend. Crossing over the course of the tournament, crossing has not been a very prevalent feature, I think, in FIFA20 as a whole as well. Yeah. So it is interesting to see that he managed to carve out 2 chances and 2 goals from those situations. But again, that's tapping into maybe a little bit of unpredictability. And yes, we have had to wait, but I think it's fair to say that it has been well worth the wait when it comes to the Virtual Bundesliga Grand Final by ING. And let's be honest, if this is the way we're going to start things off with a 3-1 win for Deto in in a highly competitive and high standard match against MoAuba, then I really think we are in for quite a treat today, as we will crown a new champion later on, Megabit being knocked out earlier in the knockout stages, and as a result we will have a new winner. And the question is, which storyline will succeed, and then which console will as well, because it's also something we've noticed, Alex, the difference between Xbox and PlayStation. Xbox seems to have a fair few more goals about it than some of these PlayStation games, but I mean, so far we've got 4 in the first one, so maybe the bar's being set, and it's being set well, and then it'll be a case of can, you know, DullenMIKE and Yannick raise it later. Although I guess Yannick, in fairness, will probably want to keep it as low scoring as possible in his one.
That's the interesting thing, and on this side of things, on the PlayStation side, deto and MoAuba are not guys who sit back and, you know, let the game, you know, go out as if there's no attacking movement going on. We obviously saw deto get that 0-0 draw against Lucas, which is one of very few that we've seen so far in the tournament, but then he turned on the show in the second leg and got the goals going. So it's something deto is capable of. He can do both things. And I mean, in this second leg, I don't want to see him come in with sort of a more risky approach and trying to sit back and keep the goals out. I want him to keep pushing on, because if you do that against someone like MoAuba, they can quite easily open you up and find the ways through. He did score, obviously, in that first leg, scored the first goal as well. So MoAuba knows he can open up deto's defence, and he doesn't want to just sit back, deto. He wants to keep going and keep his game plan flowing as it is, because you've just won 3-1. Why change things?
Yeah, there's absolutely no reason to. He might as well keep plugging on with his game plan. He doesn't need to break away from what he came in with the idea to do in this game against MoAuba. He knew he was going to be in for a tough test, and let's be honest, MoAuba gave him a good run for his money in that first one, and there's room to improve, and the question is, can MoAuba then make those improvements and maybe make a few alternative changes to his style of play as well in that second leg to produce a different result? And the ball is very much in his court. The onus is on MoAuba to make something happen. Deto can, as a result, sit back, absorb pressure, and really pick and choose his moments to try and maybe add to this advantage.
Yeah, that's it. I want him to add to this advantage. And I mean, first and foremost, he's clearly got some luck on his side with James's flamingo shirt. I think that's what's set him through that first leg. We'll see if it can help him in the second leg, of course. But this was always going to be one of the big games, so it's not over yet. Don't go anywhere if you're expecting to see deto breeze through to the final from this point. MoAuba is someone who is not going to let that happen easily, and he's someone, of course, as we saw in the last round against Lefty, who won on the golden goal basis, the only game that we've seen go to that third golden goal game. So if anyone can do it, if anyone can come back, it is the Wolfsburg man, MoAuba.
Oh, I wouldn't deny that at all, especially when he's got Joao Victor on the pitch for him, who has been such an incredible player for both him and DullenMIKE, actually. And it was an interesting trend that we saw when it came to, there were 4 Wolfsburg representatives in the Virtual Bundesliga Grand Final. 2 were able to use Joao Victor very effectively. That was MoAuba and DullenMIKE. 2 were not, in Salzor and Benny CR7X. And as a result, those 2 both went out. And Joao Victor seemed to be the key man. And he had a chance in that first leg. He'll be hoping to have a few more in the second. But it is still very much, it might be a 3-1 advantage, but it feels like it's still on a knife's edge, because as Alex pointed out, if MoAuba can get that early goal, then it really is game on, and it'll be those mind games that we've been talking about so much. It's the mind games that MoAuba thinks that he wins, but it's also the mind games that Kai Deto Vollen has talked about in terms of having to find what works for you when it comes to maintaining concentration levels. And it was an element we talked about. Yes, they're in the comfort of their own homes. Yes, they're in very familiar surroundings. I think Deto's actually in the Leverkusen offices where they take care of their esports products. But while they are in familiar settings, the mental challenge of keeping yourself sharp in those familiar and comfortable surroundings can actually be harder, Alex, than were they in an event hall with a crowd around them, with their teammates around them, buzzing them on. But right now, we need to see whether MoAuba can produce another comeback victory. He's 3-1 down from the first leg against Kai Deto Vollen of Leverkusen. An uphill struggle for the man who's looking to become the champ, the reigning FIFA eWorld Cup title holder, looking to add yet another German championship to his enviable trophy collection at the age of just 23. These 2 both finished top of their groups. And we now wait to see whether MoAuba can get something going and maybe add a new chapter to what has been a thrilling tale already in the Virtual Bundesliga Grand Final. And already enjoying a measure of control on proceedings here as he looks to carve out that first chance. It took him 1 to score last time. Can he be as efficient in front of goal? Not a lot of space to work with, which suggests that Deto has gone a little bit more defensive in his approach, Alex, but I guess that doesn't come as a surprise.
Not at all. He's got just one striker up there trying to lead the counter-attack possibly. He knows that MoAuba is going to want to have more possession in this game, so that's the perfect way to set up and try and capitalise on these potential counter-attacks. He does have so many attacking threats on the pitch with the likes of Moussa Diaby out there on the left wing and Karim Bellarabi on the right. Here is Diaby latching onto a fantastic through ball, but cross just not working out for him.
That's another part of Deto's game that really seems to have come to the fore against MoAuba, is these long balls in behind the wing backs, and he seems to be finding space with Diaby, Paulinho in the first leg we saw as well. And I just wonder whether that's something he's seen in his scouting report that he wants to target. For now, he's going to have to repel another attack from MoAuba. Gintek in behind, and it's a strong save from Hradecki.
Surprised he went for goal from that angle. He had men in support across the box, but MoAuba decided to shoot early, wanting to just test the goalkeeper there, I guess, in these opening 15 minutes or so. But first time we've seen him really getting behind the Leverkusen defence since he scored that early opening goal in the first leg. Good sign for MoAuba, and he has started well in this first half of the second leg. 2 goals behind, 2 goals he needs unanswered to take us to a third and final deciding game. But Deto is pushing on as well and earning his chances perhaps at goal here from a corner. We've seen how good he is aerially in this game.
Here is Diaby on the ball for Deto. MoAuba with plenty of men back, and as a result, Deto taking the better safe than sorry approach. Also click his defenders into gear in terms of getting back into their original positions as opposed to staying committed further up the pitch. Havertz. Oh, it's a lovely ball through to Stanilovic! And Deto, finally we see some emotion out of the Leverkusen man, because what an important goal that is, Alex.
That is the goal that may have just booked his ticket to the cross-console final, and it is more outstanding attacking football. So much patience and composure in attack. He has Kai Havertz on the ball with his back to goal. He actually worked space onto Havertz's right foot, and I thought he might go for goal there at the near post, but he saw the run of Stanilovic behind him, turned it back. MoAuba didn't quite get his defensive man, in the right position to cut it out, and in the end, another outstanding finish across goal. We know how overpowered the near post is, but Deto is making the most of the cross goal shots. Just needs to make sure now he keeps this ball out of his own goal, but that's it, James. He has a 3-goal advantage. MoAuba has a huge mountain to climb now. Plenty of time still to do it, of course, but it's looking ever more unlikely.
Yeah, it's turned from the Zugspitze to Mount Everest for MoAuba, and while I wouldn't put anything past him, even a player of his caliber is going to struggle to overturn this type of deficit, but a goal back from Weghorst will certainly help. He has not given up hope of going one better and claiming the title that he missed out on last season. And MoAuba back in this second leg. Just when Deto thought he may be pulling clear, MoAuba reels him back in a little bit.
An immediate response is exactly what he needed, and it's the first time we've really seen him be quick in his attacking movements. The one-touch passing there and getting the ball onto Weghorst, right-footed and cutting. Just one touch before he shot. It's hard for Deto to react there, and an outstanding finish from MoAuba. Exactly what he needed, because if he had let that sit at a 3-goal advantage for Deto for too long, it may have been a little too late in the end, but now he just needs to do more defensive work as Deto keeps pushing on for more.
He made the right choice at the right time there, Deto, to pick out Karim Bellarabi. The shot in the end blocked, though, as the chance comes to nothing, but MoAuba certainly leaving himself exposed at the back as he chases that comeback. You can see a little frustrated with himself in terms of not being able to get close enough to the man or the ball. I'm sure he won't be happy with how little of the ball he's had.
Could that be a red card? It's just a yellow. I thought Diaby might have been off there for Deto. Rash challenge. Gets away with it, though. is already making some...
It was his first of the day. You know,
It was his
first
first of the
DRB,
day.
I'm sure, you know, would have been wagging the finger at the referee saying, no, it's my first one, so, like, don't send me off. But that could have been a twist in the tail. We haven't seen a red card in the Virtual Bundesliga Grand Final. It's worth noting as well.
Interesting that Deto has made those tactical moves early here with the defensive midfielders, wanting them to just have an open mind to whether they want to sit back or go forward. Doesn't need them to push out anywhere. Now, in fact, you'd probably want them more to sit back and not stretch out to the wings and have that variation to cover both ends of the pitch. Big challenge there from Jonathan Tah to get the ball away. Huge, in fact, with Veghorst looking to move it onto his right foot again. Deto will be looking to just hold out now and take this into half-time with the scoreline as it is.
Yeah, big puff of the cheeks there from MoAuba a few moments ago. He's certainly feeling the pressure, and I think this is something we can say. We were wondering how these guys would react to the tournament being in these circumstances, but they've reacted well.
Oh.
And Deto is reacting best of the bunch really right now. Kai Havertz denied another goal.
Oh, he'd have been expecting that one to go in. He just went across the keeper, and in the end, Castiles' position was fantastic, actually, before the shot came in. Didn't have too much stretching to do there. The near post option might have been the better one if Deto had seen it, but finds himself a corner, perhaps one more chance at another goal here.
Well, this is the thing, Deto's staying disciplined defensively, and he's not rushing into moments like that when Weiser, yes, he could have played the pass earlier, but there was a chance it would have been intercepted. He really is keeping his composure in the key moments, Deto. But the thing is, it's not like he's bunkered down. He's still creating chances, Alex. He's still pushing forward, looking for more goals. He's not looking just to see this game out. As Veghorst now goes into the book. I guess that's one back for the Diaby challenge.
2 key men booked early on. Don't know if we'll see them come off any earlier. I doubt it from these guys. But it has been a really end-to-end first half as the whistle goes. 1-1 the scoreline. Deto still with that advantage from the first leg, a 2-goal advantage that he brought into this second leg. Now we'll have to see what these guys can do going into this second leg. But as I was saying, it has been very end-to-end. Both guys moving the ball forward well, and neither have been totally fluid in their attacking movement. There's been good defensive work, but we've seen a lot more shots on goal in this second leg already. We only saw 2 in the first half of the first leg, and we've got 6 across both guys already in this second leg. It's clear that they're both going for it, and MoAuba, of course, needs to do even more work than Deto.
But to see Deto constrain MoAuba's qualities as much as he has over the course of what we've now had 135 minutes of FIFA action between these two, I'll be honest, Alex, it wasn't something I was expecting. I knew Deto had it in him, but to see MoAuba struggle so much to really carve out chances or assert any form of authority on the game, when, again, in this second leg, it's Deto who's managed to take the control and dictate the pace of proceedings and dictate the way proceedings have gone. And he's not parking the bus, and I think that's an admirable quality, but he is showing a lot of veteran savvy here in terms of how to handle tournament situations, to not get yourself into too much trouble, and to get to where you want to go, which for Deto is ultimately to reclaiming the crown.
100%, and MoAuba is someone who's only scored 1 goal or less in this tournament on 3 occasions, 3 group stage games out of his 10 that he played. He only scored a goal or less. At the moment, Deto is doing the hard yards to make sure that he has no chance of doing that. We've seen some changes coming there from Deto. And MoAuba, we can see it on the screen. I don't think he wants to play this second half, to be honest. He looks so nervous.
Yeah, if he wants something to do with the spare time, I can recommend tidying up his bed a little bit. I mean, he might as well. He's got the chance now. But I wonder whether this is, you know, again, talk about getting triggered sometimes on this game, and on FIFA 20, it's very easy to get triggered. Is Mo suffering from that right now, and is that what's needed? Because I think he actually needs just to sit down and not worry about Deto and all these changes he's making and any potential tactical influences he's going to try and put on this game. He needs just to stay focused and play his own game.
We saw him take a moment against Lefty when he conceded in the second leg, and in the end, it allowed him to score 2 goals and come back and then get the golden goal win. These guys being so measured in their approaches now, making sure everything is perfect. As we said, Leon Bailey and Nadim Amiri coming on for Deto at half-time. Some fresh legs. Moussa Diaby on that yellow card going off early, but surprisingly no changes going to be made from MoAuba. Chatting away to himself there. He looks distraught, James, but as we just mentioned, he needs to have that moment where he concentrates and calms himself down. He knows this is not the position he wants to be in, but he produced an amazing comeback in the game against Lefty. He can do it again. He needs 2 goals, just as he did in that game. Can he do it again in the second half? We are ready to get things back underway. And it is all with MoAuba. What can he do in his search to get to the cross-console final? Or will it be Deto who earns his place in the big one? Waiting to see who he faces are DullenMIKE and Yannick in our Xbox One final.
This is it. When the bracket includes MoAuba, if you can crown yourself the best PS4 player on the game, I mean, that is an accolade in and of itself. And Deto right now on course to do that. MoAuba needs 2 goals back. Is this one? No! Ginczek can't find the back of the net, and that is exactly the chance, or the type of chances, Alex, that MoAuba cannot allow to go unpunished.
He knows he might not get many chances like that again, and he's definitely not going to get a chance as open as that. Daniel Ginczek right in front of goal, just simple finish towards the near post. I think one of the best things about this tournament is actually how MoAuba's reactions, his cam is delayed by a few seconds, so we see those chances go in or go out as that one did, and we can wait and see his reaction, but his reactions may be getting more emotional as the time ticks on here.
Bailey couldn't squeeze out the cross for Deto. MoAuba looking to move the ball quickly. Weghorst, the target man. It's linked up play well. Here is Maxi Arnold. Good run being made by Mbabu. Plenty to aim for in the box. Oh, this is well worked to Weghorst. Brilliant goal from MoAuba. That's where we see his quality shine.
Finally, some patience in his attack. He just waited for that run from the midfielder to then first come to the edge of the box. And that pass to Wout Weghorst was also perfectly timed. He's the man to do it again for MoAuba. A couple of goals here. He is now 1 away from tying this game up. Superb start to the second half for MoAuba. Exactly what he needed.
Yeah, and just like in the first leg, they're flipping the script. It was Deto who scored early in the first half, and this time it's MoAuba scoring early in the second half. And as you said, reducing the arrears to just 1 goal. A reminder to anyone joining us, if it does finish all square after 2 legs, we will go to a 3rd game, which will be a golden goal situation, so who scores first wins. MoAuba has already had some experience of that, beating Lefty in the PS4 semi-finals. I'm sure he'd prefer to avoid the stress of that situation. But in order to even get there, he's got to get a 3rd goal. Hint of an offside there against Deto, and the flag indeed does go up. But the goals for MoAuba, they really are coming from the moments that Deto just moves one player out of position for too much time, and MoAuba pounces.
Yeah, that's it. MoAuba's had that patience now where he can wait for that mistake from Deto and then make the perfect passes. But the thing is now, with 30 minutes to go, Deto knows that he also, if he scores 1 more goal here, it's going to be almost impossible for MoAuba to come back, because 2 goals at this late stage would be huge. Both these guys looking to perhaps get another goal. So we know MoAuba's going to be pushing it on a bit more than Deto here, but don't count out the Leverkusen man to push on the throttle himself here in the final minutes. He won't be going all guns blazing, of course, but if he does get chances to push the ball forward, he will not rest on those chances. MoAuba, it is a entertainment package in itself watching his player camp, but you can understand it. He's the big name coming into this tournament, the FIFA World Champion, and he is on the verge of being knocked out at the final hurdle here. 30 minutes to play, James. This is what it all comes down to.
Yeah, you can see there MoAuba talking to his chat. I'm just wondering whether he's having problems making substitutions, Alex, because this is the type of time where he would need to be doing that, and he hasn't been able to. But here's João Victor on the ball, looking to play it through to Weghorst. And the frustration etched on the face of MoAuba. The fact is, got just under 25 minutes remaining. All he needs is one chance. At the same time, Deto isn't trying to shut up shop. He is trying to take precious seconds off the clock in moments like this with Leon Bailey, but loses out here against Brekalo. Arnold onto Gerhardt.
MoAuba just needs to keep his patience and attack. That first time pass there in midfield didn't work out for him. He wants to move the ball forward quickly, of course, to make the most of what little time is remaining, but he knows that he opened up Deto with patience and attack, waiting for the right runs. That's what he needs to do here. If he can get the ball back, of course, that's the first job, which he does with Yannick Gerhardt in midfield. Now's his chance to push forward. Can he find the right passes? Show that composure in front of goal that we've seen so often from him.
Deto trying to get defenders back. Brekalo, good run being made by Victor, but Ginczek goes it alone. And the time finish did not work on that occasion. A big red light. Big
red light indeed, and unbelievable. MoAuba can't believe it. Just snatched at that completely. I don't think he actually expected that pass to go to Daniel Ginczek. Deto's upset about something at the other end. But MoAuba there, you can see, he just cannot believe as he goes to lay down on his bed. His head is in his pillow. I don't think he wants to get up from that bed. Unbelievable scenes here on the Virtual Bundesliga Grand Final.
We have literally lost MoAuba. Like, this is brilliant.
But I can understand it, because I really think that he didn't want that pass to go to Ginczek. It was actually Weghorst who had made the better run and was at a nicer angle for that shot. It was Ginczek who was right in front of goal. It was difficult to then score from that opportunity. You need the angle on goal to either go for a finesse or go for the near post, and he didn't know what to do with Ginczek, so in the end had a much more difficult chance than he was hoping for. But still, 15 minutes to go. He's fluffed two huge chances with Daniel Ginczek to find the net. The next one has to go in from MoAuba.
Yeah, that's it. The chances haven't not been there. He is creating them, and he's looking to create another one quickly here. Ginczek, well won by Jonathan Tah, though, at the back for Deto, who really is trying to, I think, pull every trick out of his veteran book here to see out this victory and book his place in the cross-console final. But we are all square, ladies and gentlemen. It's big Wout Weghorst with a big goal for MoAuba, acrobatic and all. And we have very much game on in this, the PS4 final of the Virtual Bundesliga Grand Final.
3 is the lucky number for MoAuba. 3 big chances. He finally takes the third one, and it's a hat-trick for Wout Weghorst. Daniel Ginczek had fluffed his lines on 2 occasions there with much more difficult chances than the one Wout Weghorst just put away. Lovely cross into the box, and the acrobatic effort from Wout Weghorst was impossible for Deto to stop. And as things stand, we are going to that third and final golden goal game. MoAuba has the experience in that. Deto knows that MoAuba has had that experience in the final round. So I think we're going to see 8 minutes of attacking movement now from the Leverkusen man. He's going to go for goal here. He does not want that third and final game. He's been sitting deeper in this second leg. He wants to make the most of the chance he has now to win this game.
I wouldn't say no to a third game and a golden goal between these two, Alex. It's been so exciting between Deto and MoAuba that any extension wouldn't be a bad thing in my eyes, but I also wouldn't say no to a dramatic winner for either of these two. And Deto, having taken so much time off the clock, is now looking to push forward, but let down by Leon Bailey. The emotions coming out on both sides of the bracket now.
Deto just knows that, you know, MoAuba has ended this game on the brighter note, and that form, as he showed in the game against Lefty, where he had the comeback late on, told hugely in that golden goal game, and he ended up getting that goal. But a rash pass there from MoAuba, not ideal at all. Does Deto have one more chance? He's going to push on here because he knows that MoAuba is going to be the man with the hot fingers going into that golden goal game if we do see it. He's trying to work for the last chance now with Demirbay. Only 2 minutes of added time. Will he get one more shot away?
Demirbay on the ball. The seconds tick on. Amiri back to goal, closed down by Mbabu. Stalilovic can't thread the needle. And the referee is going to call time on play. No more chances at either end. We are in our first game of the day, going to a golden goal situation. Two men with title-winning pedigree. Deto, MoAuba, 3-1, 3-1. We're going to golden goal, Alex. And quite frankly, I am not disappointed about that because, again, the quality and standard of FIFA over the course of those two legs, the goal-scoring chances, the way they managed to fashion them and take them, you know, it was set high and it was a brilliant spectacle. And now we get a bit more of it.
Outstanding FIFA at the highest order there. And MoAuba, we questioned whether he could come back in that game. We said Deto just needed to be more defence-minded and do what he was doing, basically. But, I mean, MoAuba can be sat there at the end of that game and think, I should be going through already. He had two huge chances with Daniel Ginczek, let them slip. But in the end, he did the job that he needed to do and at least force this third and final game, which we will see, which is obviously on that golden goal basis. But he performed so well there in the final third that he should really have booked his place for the grand final, for the cross-console final in that game. But in the end, we go to a golden goal game and I can't call anything. I have no idea what's going to happen in this game. It could go either way.
I couldn't call it before we started play, and I barely was able to call it after the first leg, despite the fact that Deto won. And even then, we were, in that second half, starting to write MoAuba off, and again, do that at your own peril when it comes to the reigning FIFA E-World Cup champion. But this is it. I wanted to ask you, Alex, how much do you think it's an advantage for MoAuba having gone through the golden goal situation once already in this tournament? It happened with Lefty in the last round. And do you think he's going to be able to draw on that experience? Because again, he ran the risk in that game, came very close to getting knocked out. And right now, as he looks to book his place in the cross-console final for a second season running, he's still very much up against it. He's had to grind to get there.
It's definitely an advantage for him, I think, as long as he doesn't shoot with Daniel Ginczek. I think that's the lesson he needs to learn, that Wout Weghorst is his man. He's the man in form for him. But I think that experience is definitely going to tell. We saw he scored, I think it was the 23rd minute that he found the net. And I believe Lefty had a chance before that, which almost went in. So he knows that, you know, he has to go out all guns blazing, because especially with someone like Deto as well, who's more than capable of finding the back of the net, he needs to go out and try and get it as early as possible. There's no waiting around. These guys are going to have to take risks now in this final game, because this is it. One goal will decide who goes to the cross-console final, and you don't want to be the man who concedes that goal.
Yeah, MoAuba's on fire. Deto's defense is terrified. We'll see whether that does actually transpire that way in this golden goal. The guys getting set up. It should be only a matter of minutes before we will be able to give you coverage of that third game. But what a way to start today. We had high expectations, I think it's fair to say, Alex, and so far they're being met. And we are not even halfway through today's action. And already I still, like at the beginning of play, still cannot call who's going to win this whole thing.
It's going to come down to, well, for me, there's maybe a slight advantage for MoAuba, not just because of his experience, but because he'd scored those 3 goals in that second leg. Deto's gone through that game and he struggled really in the attacking ways. He scored the goal in the first half. Do you think he'll be disappointed
that he tried to shut it up a little bit? I mean, he wasn't parking the bus. He was still creating chances, but he definitely did a lot in that second leg to try and kill the clock. And ultimately, then, he had no clock to work with when he actually needed the goal himself.
It's what he had to do. I don't discredit him for doing that and having that tactic, because it is the way that he should have played that game. But he'll be disappointed in himself that he wasn't able to keep it out, especially mainly because he actually gave more chances for MoAuba than he took. So MoAuba will be coming into this thinking, I can definitely create chances here against Deto. I just have to take them. So I think we'll be seeing him move towards Wout Weghorst a lot more in this opening 25 minutes or so. And we've seen early goals in both of these games so far, goals in the opening 10 minutes. Both of them have come from MoAuba. Is he going to be the man to score the opening goal in the third leg? That's the answer that's the question that's going to be answered now coming into this game.
It's the question he needs to answer. If he wants to stand any chance of getting in that cross-console final for a second season running, he's got to get the first goal in this game, and we are now ready and set for this third round of action. I could watch these two go at it all day, though, if I'm really being honest, on FIFA 20. A fascinating matchup. We thought it was going to be before the start of play. It has transpired that way between Deto and MoAuba. And now we find ourselves in the nail-biting, edge-of-your-seat drama-filled situation of a golden goal rule to decide who will be crowned the PS4 German champion on FIFA 20 for the 2019-20 campaign, booking their place in that cross-console final that will be later today. Will it be MoAuba, or will deto make another step towards reclaiming his title?
This is it, James. Golden goal game. You see it at the top of your screen. First goal wins. MoAuba starting well here with the possession. Deto hasn't had a touch of the ball so far. I definitely want to change that, but MoAuba is taking a very measured approach to this.
A risky pass there from MoAuba gives it away to Bellarabi, though. Again, those are the moments where I'm almost surprised he's making such a lackadaisical pass there, MoAuba. And it's put him under pressure here. Bellarabi bursting down the other end for deto, waiting for numbers to come up in support. Stanilovic and Palacios combining. Those two have both played a key role in this matchup. It's crisp, it's one touch, and Volland. Castell sticks out a foot. So close for deto. All it'll take is one chance, but he will take great confidence with the fact he was able to fashion a chance there.
Here it is, perhaps. Oh, another block. Deto can't believe it. 10 minutes in, and he's had two huge opportunities. Amazing save from Casteels, and then Barbu, it is, just going off his arm. In fact, MoAuba might be calling for some video assist there, but...
I think MoAuba won't want that replayed at all. He won't want the handball shown again, but yes, a clear handball there from Kevin and Barbu. Oh, maybe I have to talk to the refereeing team about the standards they're setting. But here is the chance! Oh, I thought it was it! I thought that was the goal that was going to put deto into the cross-console final. He can't believe it, we can't believe it. How many chances is he going to have to wrap this thing up without taking it? Because right now, by not taking these chances, Alex, he is leaving the door wide open for MoAuba to come down the other end and create a chance of his own. This would be a rerun of the lefty situation if he were to do it, but not with a pass like that.
We spoke about MoAuba needing to take his chances. Deto had been so clinical so far, and the pressure just getting to him here in these golden moments, snatching at these chances, but he's creating them, James. That's what he's doing. So far, he has dominated this game. We're only 15 minutes in, and he's had 3 golden opportunities. Just wants to make sure MoAuba doesn't have his chance now.
And Barbu early cross to the back post, and here was Ginczek who got his head to the ball. The effort, though, straight at Hradecki.
I'm just glad I'm not playing in this game, James, because I'm sat here watching this, and every single time the ball goes into one of these penalty areas, I'm jumping out of my seat. Thank God I'm not trying to stay composed in this moment and keep my head in the game.
Honestly, my adrenaline is pumping, and I'm not on the joysticks. And we've all been in these situations before where it is heart and mouth moment every second of it. Deto not happy with the pass being played by Palacios there. MoAuba does well to withstand the press being applied. A few little 1-2s here on the edge of the area. Here is Karamoko. Back to Mbabu. Oh, he's offside. Just mistiming the pass at the vital moment, MoAuba. A let-off for deto.
Since deto has missed those 3 big chances, it's been MoAuba who's been pushing the ball forward more often. Coming back into this game well. You just know that deto is going to be so distraught if he doesn't come away with victory here after missing those chances. Could perhaps get one here with Diaby trying to scramble the ball away. Corner.
Mbabu not doing MoAuba any favours there. I think he knows it as well, MoAuba. He's not very happy with the Swiss right back there. The corner taken short by deto. Back to Havertz now. Just nowhere to go except towards his own goal. Finds Diaby, back to Havertz. Now he's turned the right way. Here's the chance, and this is the goal that deto needed to book his place in the cross-console final. The Bayer Leverkusen man, who was one of the Cinderella stories of the Virtual Bundesliga regular season, has now crowned himself the PS4 champion in Germany on FIFA 20 and will have a chance to crown himself the cross-console champion as well.
Absolutely outstanding from deto to spot that run from Kevin Volland. Outstanding to play that first-time pass into the striker And the finish finally came good for Deto. And after that, a fully deserved victory from the Leverkusen man, fully deserving of his place in the cross-console final. MoAuba's distraught because he had his chances in that second leg. Deto obviously had them in the third and final game, but he finally made the most of his to book his place.
That's it. I think from Deto, I mean, 100% deserved. I think either would have deserved that, but on the whole scheme of play, I think Deto probably just about edged it and did on the score sheet in the end. But what I really like about the performances that we saw from him over the course of all 3 games was that we saw many different sides of his style of FIFA. Not only can he play an expansive attacking game where he takes the game to MoAuba after falling behind early in the first leg, and he had to break out of his shell a little bit, and that was successful. He tried shutting up shop to a certain extent in the second leg, and maybe had he really gone for it, really parked the bus, he may have not needed a golden goal in that third, but he really has shown us so many different facets to the way he can play this game. And as I say, I mentioned it in the game, veteran savvy as well. He is the oldest player in the competition, 31 years of age, flying the flag for the over 30s. He's the reason that having made the final, I'm wearing a flamingo shirt today, because I did say if he did it, I would, and I'm a man of my word, and I don't mind making a fool of myself either. But yeah, Deto, I mean, so many different sides to his game that we've seen, which sets him up really well for a cross-console final where against DullenMIKE or Yannick, he's probably going to need to be able to show those different styles of play at various stages of the cross-console final. So set up well.
And huge for him as well that he was able to have so many chances in the opening half an hour of that game. He knows that that's something he's going to have to do in the cross-console final when he wants to make the most of being on his preferred console, the PlayStation. He's going to want to come out of the blocks flying and get a couple of early goals in that game, whoever it may be against. And he's proven that he is capable of doing that, even if he did miss most of those chances. Again, he'll be wanting to probably go away now for the next hour or so and practice his finishing skills to make sure that he doesn't make those mistakes again, because now he is in that cross-console final. And once again, poor MoAuba, the Virtual Bundesliga stage, falling at almost the final hurdle once again.
Well, that's it. Yeah, last year he got to the cross-console final when he was representing Werder Bremen. He took on his Werder Bremen teammate Megabit. They had clinched the Virtual Bundesliga title in the regular season, which is a team portion of the competition. It's the grand final that breaks down into the solo head-to-head, one-on-one individual portion of the tournament. And this time he was looking to go one better. Megabit got knocked out. The door was open for MoAuba, but he wasn't able to take the chance. And what I can tell you now is that we are set to have an interview, I believe, with our winner, Deto, which we're going to try and translate on the fly here. So bear with Alex and I as we do that.
Weil ich im zweiten Spiel kompletten Angsthasenfußball gespielt habe.
So he's admitting the fact that he really played quite scared in the second leg.
Ich habe im ersten Spiel
And
gezeigt, was
he
ich
didn't
kann.
feel
Ich habe verdient gewonnen.
as good about
Obwohl ich
that.
direkt nach keine Ahnung 3 Minuten hinten lag, was natürlich gegen Mo die Hölle ist, und im zweiten Spiel
Conceding early against Mo is
verteidigen,
hell.
nicht mal das klappt, deswegen bin ich von mir selber eigentlich enttäuscht, aber
And he's a little disappointed with himself, despite the win, Alex. That's interesting to hear.
Und das ist ja auch so, wie ich spielen kann. Ja. Und ja, deswegen bin ich gerade einfach nur sehr glücklich. Ich weiß, wie schwer das gegen Mo ist. Er ist einer der besten Spieler.
But he's very happy because he knows how difficult it is against Mo, and he felt that in that third leg especially, he really showed exactly how he can play the game and play to his strengths as well.
Da sehen wir unten, Jungs. MoAuba schaltet sich mit dazu.
Yeah, MoAuba has actually joined the chat as well. I can't wait to hear what he's got to say.
Ja, schade, oder? Also schade vor allen Dingen mit den ganzen Problemen, aber schade auch am Ende.
Yeah, so he was having technical problems, MoAuba, and I do believe it came to being able to make substitutions as well.
Im zweiten Spiel hatte ich, glaube ich, alles im Griff. Musste
He
sogar
felt
ohne
like he had everything under control in the second game.
Einfach traurig, dass sowas passiert in so einem Finale.
He said it's disappointing because things to transpire the way they did in a final.
Das müssen wir doch mal erklären für die Zuschauer. Das ist nicht üblich. Ihr habt so oft abbrechen müssen. Was war bei dir los? Wir sehen das ja hier nicht. Also wir haben auf jeden Fall gesehen, ihr habt Frust, aber was konkret?
And they're talking about the fact that there were lots of pauses throughout the game, and he's asking why that was the case.
Das Spiel war verbuggt bei mir. Wenn ich Start drücke und auswechseln wollte, habe ich nichts gesehen.
So the game was bugged for MoAuba, which isn't great in a final.
Zeichen gesehen.
Das kannst du nicht.
Er war einfach sprachlos, ne? Ohne Subs dann, und ich hatte, glaube ich, am Ende trotzdem 8:1
speechless
oder so.
in that second leg, which he needed to win. He wasn't able to make substitutions in the latter stages of the game. He still managed to get that 3-1 win. And he said he felt that in that third leg he was a little too attacking, Alex, as well.
Oh, aber wir haben auf jeden Fall, euch beide habe ich schon lange nicht mehr so emotional gesehen. Sag mal ganz kurz erstmal du, Deto, was hat dir dieser Sieg jetzt bedeutet?
Yeah, we're joining the RAN guys who cover the Virtual Bundesliga regular season.
Unglaublich viel, also für
saying
mich
he hadn't seen
selber
these two
einmal, weil ich für
this
das Turnier
emotional in a long time.
so hart trainiert habe.
But
Aber mich freut es auch für den Verein. Das ist unglaublich, wenn ich merke
training
im
process
Team,
and you really
wie
put
sehr
everything
die
into
Leute
it.
mitfiebern, die Mitarbeiter, was denn das alles bedeutet. Das ist kein Scherz, das ist einfach unglaublich geil. So was habe ich vorher noch nicht erlebt und ich freue mich für mich
people
und
that are
für
behind
das
the scenes
gesamte
as well
Team
that
für
have played a
Leverkusen.
major role in
Wie schon
Leverkusen
gesagt, Mo
performing
ist
so well in the
unfassbar
regular
guter
season.
Spieler
Now he's
und dann im
representing
Finale
them in
zu
the finals
gewinnen,
as well.
das freut mich sehr.
And he's
frag dich
yeah,
gleich
very
noch mal, wo
happy
du
with the
sitzt,
fact
Deto,
that he's
aber
in
wir
the
gucken noch
final,
mal auf
unsurprisingly.
dein Golden Goal. Und du hattest ja 10 Minuten vorher schon mal eine Riesenchance. Da hast du dich so geärgert. Und dann aber, geil, mit der Emotion.
The winning goal for Deto there from Kevin Volland.
Ja, der mit Havertz, also das war, glaube ich, exakt fast die Position von Wimbeck.
He's talking about the Havertz chance a few moments before that,
Der hatte auch Chancen, die nicht
which he
reingegangen sind, aber im
wasn't
Golden
able to
Goal ist
convert.
sowas nochmal bitterer, weil du weißt, wenn er reingeht, hättest du das Spiel gewonnen. So, deswegen ist schon hart gewesen.
2 so Riesenchancen hattest du sogar.
That's it. So a good response shown by Deto, despite missing some chances, to still then carve out another one to get the winning goal.
Du sagst es ja, der ganze Verein ja knapp jetzt an der Champions League
I
gescheitert.
really hope they ask
aber man
MoAuba
merkt
whether
dann
he's
auch
going to
schon,
tidy up
dass
his
dann
bed
vielleicht
at
von
some point,
der
Alex, I have to say.
Profiabteilung jemand drüber kommt und dir auch die
That's what
Daumen
we'd
drückt.
be asking.
Ja, absolut. Also ich bin ja öfter in Leverkusen vor Ort und natürlich quatschen wir hin und wieder.
Deto talking
Und ich
about
glaube,
the
die
fact
wird
that
das auch freuen. Also,
Wo
he used
sitzt
to
du
be
jetzt?
in the stadium for Leverkusen, a lifelong Leverkusen
das
fan.
gerade zu Hause. Da kann ich mich am besten konzentrieren. Die haben halt so eine
Oh, there you go. He is at home,
Sponsorenwand
actually.
im
We
Hintergrund
thought he
bekommen.
might have been in the
Alles gut.
by Leverkusen eSports Center, but he is
Just
actually
sending
Ja,
a
ja.
Ich muss noch
placard
eine
from
Abschlussfrage
behind him.
stellen an dich, Mo. Ich habe es nämlich gelesen, euer Kollege Salzor, der spielt für den VfL, der hat gesagt, er ist jetzt froh, dass er FIFA nicht mehr E-Sport-mäßig erstmal praktizieren muss, FIFA 20.
Salzor, one of the other Wolfsburg representatives, tweeting out the fact that he's happy he doesn't have to play FIFA competitively anymore this season because it has been such a big grind.
Tatsächlich?
Passt gut im Moment. Ja, ich habe noch ein Turnier wahrscheinlich, also die Champions League wird noch stattfinden. Aber ja, ich glaube, es gab noch nie so ein Spiel, wo man so frustriert ist und so viele Fehler und Bugs da sind.
Okay, so talking about the fact that this rendition of FIFA has been one of the more frustrating. It's had a few bugs in there as well. And I think that has been a feeling in the competitive community for a while now, and that's why he's being asked about
Wie im
it.
echten Fußball. Manchmal hat der Rasen halt ein Loch und man stolpert. Trotzdem danke an euch beide. Mo, Kopf hoch. Kommen auch wieder bessere Zeiten und Deto, auf dich freuen wir uns gleich nochmal im großen Finale um die deutsche Meisterschaft.
The bottle cap is gone for MoAuba.
Leute.
The presenters there telling him to keep his head up, but that is very much easier said than done in that situation because he was so gutted.
A big well done to you for the translations there, James. Superb.
I tried my best. I did as best I could. I couldn't get every word in, but hey, we're doing it on the fly. That's how we do things here, and very enjoyable. But it's genuinely, we haven't been able to do that in the earlier rounds. We haven't been able to hear from any of the players, and of course, yes, it would make our lives a lot easier if they were doing it in English. But then that isn't their native language. That's why we're here to provide the added bonuses and the trimmings to the package that's being produced by them. But yeah, interesting to hear their thoughts. Interesting to hear Deto criticize himself for being too precautious in that second leg and really saying that he played like a scared rabbit, I believe were his words.
Yeah, and we mentioned that he didn't really come out of the blocks the way he usually does, and he definitely came into that game thinking, I've got a lead here, let's try and defend it a bit more. And I think that's a lesson for him, that's not some way he wants to play. If he comes into the cross-console final, perhaps with a lead going into the second leg, maybe it's a lesson learned. That's something that he shouldn't be doing next time around. But for MoAuba as well, just so disappointed, obviously, for himself that he was, having some problems with the game, unable to make some substitutions or whatever the problems were, and in the end, couldn't quite get the game that he wanted to play. Still forced a golden goal game, but didn't come out on the winning side. But as he said there, he's got another tournament to play, possibly the Champions League one. So hopefully he can redeem himself in that tournament whenever it happens for him.
Yeah, I mean, it is a shame to see him knocked out of the tournament, but one of them had to. We were always going to lose one of the big guns in this fixture, and something tells me that array of trophies that adorn his bedroom might help comfort MoAuba from the fact, and yes, when we saw him lay down on his bed, something tells me that might be the pose he's pulling for at least the next half an hour. Now that he's off air, I'm sure he's turning the stream off, can't really be bothered. But yeah, I mean, a great shame that it is, or that result was influenced by technical issues, because that's exactly what you don't want to happen in a final. You want to be able to still have the array of options that you want to be able to use to your advantage, and one of those in this 85 game mode is substitutions, and it's such a key one as well, Alex. So a really big differential. Now, the interesting thing is that he managed to take it to a third game despite that, and in the third game he didn't have those excuses, he didn't have those problems, and he really never really got going in that third leg. Deto came out and played the style of football we saw from him in the first after he fell behind against Mo early, and he admitted that that was hellish to do when you concede that early against someone with the qualities of MoAuba. But yeah, I mean, I feel like Deto's really got to go into this cross-console final desperate and determined to play the style of football we saw in the third leg and the first leg, and ignore what he did in the second. He cannot afford to try and do that against DullenMIKE, who is a prolific goal scorer, it has to be said.
And the reason he's so frustrated is because he actually allowed that third game to even happen. If he'd have just come out the way he played in the third game or the first game, as you mentioned, in the second leg, then the third one wouldn't have had to be played. So a lesson learned for him for sure, to make sure that he just plays the way he wants to play. Don't try and change your tactics or your mindset for, you know, how a game looks, the aggregate score, because, you know, he could have come out and just maybe tried and scored a couple more goals in the second leg, and then the third one doesn't happen. So, as you said, against someone like DullenMIKE or Yannick, two very different players, you know, DullenMIKE's such an attacking powerhouse and Yannick a very, very strong defensive player, it's going to be, both legs could be completely different games. So that's why I'm also so interested now to see who Deto will be playing in that cross-console final, and we're almost ready for the Xbox One final, which is between DullenMIKE and Yannick.
Yeah, that's it. We have crowned our PS4 champion in Germany to date. We will crown the Xbox One and then a cross-console champion as well later on in the show. But what a way to get us started. Deto flying the flag for the veterans of the esports community. And yes, now he ultimately will be taking on a teenager of one form or the other. It'll either be 18-year-old DullenMIKE or 19-year-old Yannick Berdeke of Augsburg. And I almost feel like Deto would prefer Yannick, not just because Yannick's the underdog, but I believe Yannick's approach to games would actually suit Deto better in terms of Yannick will look to keep things tight at the back, will look to try and keep a clean sheet and not concede much, but his expansive attacking play isn't really what he's been known for throughout this tournament. He's got goals in him, we're not saying that. He certainly is very capable of scoring goals, but I think his priority has always been to keep things tight at the back and build off of that, whereas DullenMIKE, his opponent here, is the complete opposite. He is very much a gung-ho, new age style FIFA player that wants to tap into the attacking qualities, even if FIFA20, it's not necessarily the biggest forte. But really, this is a clash of styles here in the Xbox final, and it should make for a fascinating fixture between these two youngsters.
Yeah, DullenMIKE will likely see him trying to build from possession, just like Deto does in this first game. And as you said, if he does get to the final, that's going to be a contest between two guys playing very similar styles of FIFA, whereas Yannick is happy to allow the other team to have the ball, but, you know, he'll be wanting to get some control on the ball as well as we get things underway here in Augsburg. Augsburg in the red, shooting from left to right. Wolfsburg in their interesting number, the away kit, all sort of light blue colour, going from right to left. And it's Yannick who's on the ball first, trying to get every player a touch of the ball in the opening couple of minutes here on the Xbox side of things.
Yes, the other interesting thing about this, we didn't mention it, but we no longer have the possibility of an all-Wolfsburg final. We had an all-Werder Bremen one last year with Megabit and MoAuba, but with MoAuba being knocked out by Deto in the PS4 final, that all-Wolfsburg head-to-head in the cross-console final is not possible. The question is, will there be a Wolfsburg player in there at all? As Niederlechner with the first chance of the game. And it's Kasten preferred to Castells for DullenMIKE, making the first important save.
Really good stuff from Yannick. Kept the ball there for the first 5 minutes and worked it into a really nice position for Florian Niederlechner, but he just couldn't get the power behind his shot on Niederlechner's left foot, and in the end, a simple save. But getting in those positions will be vital for Yannick, because those are the sorts of positions that he usually scores from. We said he has had Every single shot he has taken so far in this tournament has been on target. That was another one for Niederlechner, so he keeps his record up, and therefore DullenMIKE knows he can't allow that many chances in those positions to come his way, because Yannick is also one of the most clinical guys in front of goal. Now, since then, DullenMIKE has kept the ball himself as well, so both these guys getting possession early on, and there's the first real challenge, actually, that we've seen won from Yannick as well.
Yeah, now looking to break out from the back. And we did find out that Deto was actually in his own home with the lovely Bayer Leverkusen placard behind him, you know, the branding of the esports. But what we can tell you is Yannick is 100% sat in the WWK Arena in Augsburg. This is the home of their esports branch. We saw them do it in the Bundesliga Home Challenge with Yannick and Marco Richter. Yannick now on his own, but he did have someone with a bit of coaching experience on the side in the knockout stages. I'd imagine he'll have them in attendance again. And so while DullenMIKE really is doing it on his own at his own home, Yannick does have at least an element of that final event feel, having someone on his side, maybe issuing a bit of advice, cheering him on. And I'm sure that will be beneficial to him.
Yeah, that's what they're used to having, obviously, in finals like this, in tournaments like this. They're used to being in a neutral venue with their coach beside them, so nice added extra for him, whereas DullenMIKE looks like he's all on his own at home, but no worries for him. He's got to this stage of the tournament in that way, and he'll be happy to be concentrating on his own and playing this game the same way. But it's interesting that he hasn't quite had the possession that we would have expected in this first game. It's been Yannick who's been on top. Obviously, he has the home advantage here in this first game, but doesn't always make the huge advantage that it usually does in the real world. But only one shot on goal for either side so far, and it did go for Yannick with Niederlechner.
Yeah, fun story about DullenMIKE. The reason that is his game tag is because his name of Dylan was not very easily pronounced by Germans, who normally do go Dullen. And so therefore he became DullenMIKE. On account of his friends not being able to say his name right. That's the way these things work out sometimes.
We wouldn't have that problem, James, because we are from the British shores. So.
Well, you say that. My name doesn't exist in Germany. If I was born in Germany, I would have had to be named Johannes, not James. Right. Fun fact for you. Because James is not an accepted name in Germany.
Johannes Thorogood, you are now,
I'm sure that'll be the nickname from now on. But yeah, these are the fun stories that we like to tell from behind the scenes. DullenMIKE has talked in the past about the fact that his favourite FIFA player is actually Carlos Valderrama, which, given the fact that he's 18 years old and, let's say, a baby-faced 18-year-old as well, he looks about 13, DullenMIKE, but the fact that he has an appreciation for Carlos Valderrama, who he probably never got to see during his actual playing career, sure it has something to do with the hair.
Oh, 100%. Iconic hair and iconic player as well, and obviously it's someone that he loves in defensive midfield positions to just destroy the opposition's attacking movements, and he's got that in a sense with Mai in midfield for Wolfsburg, one of the players who doesn't usually play too often in the real world, hasn't actually made his Bundesliga debut, I don't believe. But he's one of the key men for DullenMIKE in this team. Yannick now pushing forward again with Marco Richter. Good movement, almost to the back post, and there it is! Niederlechner had the first bite of the cherry, but it's Alfred Finnbogason who finds the back of the net to put Yannick in front with the first goal of the Xbox final.
He worked that so well. The little ball round the outside to play Richter in behind was so key. He didn't rush or panic when trying to play the ball into the box, and actually, by doing that, he allowed DullenMIKE to react and almost, you know, a feint threw him off. And as a result, the chance opened up to play a Niederlechner at the front post, and yes, you know, Kassen came to DullenMIKE's rescue initially, but couldn't come to the rescue a second time, and Alfred Finnbogason, Augsburg's all-time top goal scorer in the Bundesliga in real life, getting the job done in front of goal in the virtual world as well. And that could play firmly into Yannick's hands, because taking an early lead will allow him to play more to his strengths of absorbing pressure. And right now, I have to say, I feel like DullenMIKE was very much feeling Yannick out, but he doesn't have that luxury of being able to do that anymore, Alex.
100%. And as you said, Yannick is someone so capable on the defensive end. He's actually only conceded 3 goals across his 4 games in the knockout rounds, which is an outstanding performance from him. Kept a clean sheet in the first game against Alex Chapin, and Only conceded 1 in the second and then 1 in each of his games against Impact in their Xbox semi-final, but perfect position for him to be 1-0 up and as we approach half-time.
Yeah, but right now, DullenMIKE is just letting Yannick play his own game. And he's creating another chance here. Niederlechner sees his shot blocked by Brooks. But DullenMIKE's going to struggle to get anything from this tie or stand any chance of getting to the cross-console final if he can't implement his own style. But he's got a chance here. Stefan in behind, looking for the square ball. But there were too many red shirts in the box in the end. And this is it. DullenMIKE came in here as a heavy favourite against Yannick in many people's books. But it is the young 18-year-old who only just recently finished his end-of-year exams, who didn't get a single shot off in that half from one of the more prolific attacking players we've seen in this tournament. That is staggering, Alex.
It really is. He just has not been able to play the game we're used to seeing. As you said, he's not come out the way we expected it to here. And credit to Yannick for that, because his defensive work at one end has been outstanding, and then he's been in control of the game and possession and pushing the ball forward as well. And on that goal that he scored, as you said, James, he worked that so well. As you said, working to the byline and then committing DullenMIKE to bring a defender towards Marco Richter, which then forced the whole defensive line to move across. And in the end, Alfred Finnbogason was open at the back post. That's why it's so important to have these almost, well, strikers, basically, as Augsburg have there. Finnbogason on the left, Andre Hahn on the right. Players who are even more advanced in their attacking abilities to have the finishing capabilities when those chances come to them. And this is it. DullenMIKE now has to come out in this second half and try and play how he was unable to in that first half. We have not seen him struggle this much in pushing the ball forward so far in this tournament. What can he do now in the second half as he get things back underway?
This is it. DullenMIKE, goals have not been hard come by for him. Only once in this tournament has he been held goalless. That was in the second leg of his 2-1 loss in the group stages against Alex Chappie of Leipzig. Otherwise, he has been free scoring, to say the least. And of course, we should remind viewers that DullenMIKE was the player that got the scalp of Megabit in his very first game in the Virtual Bundesliga Grand Final. It was a game that was moved forward so that he could complete his end-of-year exam on Wednesday. He had one verbal exam to do, so the first game got moved up to an earlier kickoff slot against Megabit. He won that 1-0 and 2-1 to pick up a 3-1 aggregate win, and that really sent a message to the rest of the competition of he was someone to take very seriously very early. And the fact is, he's had it tough in the knockout stages as well. He had to beat Sakul of Bayern as well, who was seen as one of the hot favourites after the group stages. Der Gaucho really tried to grind it out, especially in that second leg when he did look like he might be able to crown yet another comeback, and that was a story for Der Gaucho throughout this whole tournament. So DullenMIKE has had to dig deep in order to get to where he is, and right now he's going to have to dig deep again, Alex.
He is, and he's started the second half well. He's having a lot more possession, but Yannick is just not allowing him to push the ball forward. You see there, fantastic defensive work from him, the high press that is not allowing DullenMIKE to push the ball forward easily. He might have had possession for the first 10 minutes, but it was mostly around his own defence, so struggles continuing for the Wolfsburg man. It would be hugely disappointing for them if they had two players in the console finals and ending up with none in the cross-console final. Yannick remaining composed, now back on the ball. What can he do with his first move forward in this second half? Daniel Bayer looking for a way forward, but João Victor producing some defensive work. We've seen him actually be one of the most important attacking players for Wolfsburg in this tournament. We spoke about how he has been so good for MoAuba and DullenMIKE in this tournament. Yet to find the back of the net at all today, though. Will DullenMIKE be able to change that in the final 20 minutes? He's coming forward again now with Mai. Still looking for an opening. You can see how good Yannick is at closing out all the avenues that DullenMIKE might have at trying to push the ball forward. He just crowds out the middle of that pitch in front of his own penalty area, so compact with his two defensive midfielders. It's proving near impossible for DullenMIKE to break through.
Yeah, his ability to force his opponent, Yannick I'm talking about, his ability to force his opponent to play his game and not allow them to play their own game, I really think is an incredible quality to have. And it's one that's arguably the most frustrating to come up against in a FIFA opponent. And Yannick is doing it to masterful effect, it has to be said. He's having more of the ball. His passes are finding the intended target. And I don't think he's had a shot off target yet in this game, has he, Alex? Which means he still has a 100% shot accuracy in this whole entire Virtual Bundesliga Grand Final. And if the fact that he was stifling DullenMIKE and his attacking prowess was impressive enough, I think the fact that he still has a 100% shot accuracy is just as impressive.
It's an outstanding record, 100%, and one of the reasons why he could be ended up going to the cross-console final. If you have the ability to stop someone as good going forward as DullenMIKE, and then at the other end you're able to make the keeper work at the very least with every shot that you have, you're going to be doing things like this, leading 1-0 in these most important games, and with less than 20 minutes to go now, DullenMIKE is making some changes to his side, getting fresh legs on in the attacking side of things.
But it's fair to say a 1-goal lead after the first leg is not going to be secure enough for Yannick, even if we are praising the qualities and his ability to kill off the game and really keep things tight at the back and nullify the threat that DullenMIKE poses. As I say that, the corner comes in. Not dealt with. Leuven on the volley. Reece Oxford now on the ball. So many turquoise shirts in the box, but in the end, the offside flag is what stops Yannick in his tracks.
The thing is as well, though, I don't think DullenMIKE will be too disappointed if he goes away from this game 1-0. He knows that he had to play at Augsburg once, and to only suffer a 1-0 defeat is quite big for him. He's done well in his games at Wolfsburg. He beat De Gaucho 4-1 in his home game, of course. So it's going to be possibly another deficit he has to overturn, unless he can change things here. Right at the end, it's João Victor in on goal. Oh, what a save that is. And the Augsburg goalkeeper to deny João Victor. Perfect passing move. The first time we have seen DullenMIKE break through Yannick's defence, but the keeper, the last line of defence, coming to the Augsburg man's rescue.
He palmed that like a nice fresh coconut on a hot summer's day on a beach somewhere, you know, just really wrapped his hand around it to claw it out from goal. But DullenMIKE, that was his first chance of the game, unable to make it count. And I think it is worth reminding viewers as well that this is not Yannick's first rodeo when it comes to this stage of the Virtual Bundesliga Grand Final. He reached the Xbox One final last season at the age of 18, so really, he's really setting a precedent for himself. But it was against Megabit that he lost 4-2 over the course of 2 legs last time out, and he's looking to go one better. MoAuba was the one unable to give him the chance, of going one better. Yannick has at least 1 foot heading in that direction right now. And what do you think DullenMIKE's got to do in the second game? You said he wouldn't be worried, and I agree with you, but what's got to change? Because is it really a case of just taking more risks? Because I feel if he takes more risks, he's just going to play straight into Yannick's hands as well, who will capitalise on any misplaced passes, any potential mistakes, and then any gaps at the back that are left if he does go for it, Mike.
He has to come out early. I've said it in every game. It sounds like I'm almost repeating himself. But if DullenMIKE can get an early goal, it forces Yannick to have to do something as well. If the longer it stays like this, with DullenMIKE unable to find the back of the net, the more and more confidence Yannick will build in not needing to come out and not needing to change what he's doing. Whereas if DullenMIKE can go into that game and immediately get an opening goal, then something will have to change at some point. But at the moment, he just needs to make sure he doesn't go another goal behind. It's Andre Hahn with a chance! How important could that be for Yannick? In the 3rd minute of added time here in the first leg, he has a 2-goal advantage.
We saw Kai Havertz busting out the breakdancing moves. We've got Andre Hahn pulling off backflips. That's what this tournament is all about. And what, you are right, Alex, what an important goal for Yannick. At a crucial time, a 2-goal buffer now to take into the second leg. And right now, DullenMIKE, arguably one of the favourites coming in to this stage of the competition. There is a hype train behind him. But right now, Yannick is derailing that hype train.
Very much so. Absolutely outstanding from him in that first leg. Just the perfect performance. We spoke about his qualities. He's a guy who takes very little chances to find the back of the net. I'm not sure if he kept the 100% record of shots on target there.
I think there may have been one.
There may have been one that was blocked, but it could have well have been going on target. But he had 2 clear-cut chances, and he took both of them. And DullenMIKE, as we said, was just suffocated in that game. He couldn't find a way through at all. He had one clear-cut opportunity where the keeper produced a stunning save, and he obviously will be disappointed that that didn't result in a goal. But, I mean, for Yannick, it couldn't get any better than that for a first-leg performance.
No, he'll be absolutely delighted. Now, I have to say, we've only got a small sample size, and we've only seen the first leg from this Xbox One final. But I'm going to throw a thought out there and see what you think about it, Alex, because having watched deto play, having watched Yannick play, I feel like I'm watching 2 players that have figured out how to specialize in the current rendition of FIFA. Whereas with MoAuba and DullenMIKE, what we're seeing is top-notch FIFA skills that transcend various versions of the game. But I really feel like deto and Yannick seem to be the 2 that have managed to, in FIFA20, find a specialty, make it work, and make it effective and successful as well. And that's why we're seeing them come out on the right end of results right now.
It's interesting that the 2 most controlled guys in terms of keeping the ball and keeping a structure to the game and not going out of your game plan too often and not allowing the game to stretch open, which can often result in you actually conceding goals when you're trying to push forward too much. Those are the 2 guys that are on their way into the cross-console final right now. Deto is obviously a goal-friendly guy. He's scored 5 across the 2 legs against MoAuba, and obviously the crucial goal in the golden goal game. But it's the defensive structure which is actually getting him to this point of the tournament. And so for him and Yannick, it's, as you said, having that game plan, keeping the structure, not allowing the game to open up, and that's what's allowing them to get to this point. Whereas for DullenMIKE and MoAuba before him, DullenMIKE especially now, his game plan hasn't worked. He's got to change something now, which is no position you want to be in. But I'm not actually sure what he can change here, other than trying to just come out all guns blazing from the first minute of this second leg, because if he can get an early goal and perhaps throw Yannick off his rhythm, maybe he can open something up. But I'd struggle to question Yannick's defensive capabilities. If he can keep DullenMIKE out for one game, what else can he do? Because he can keep out the best guy in terms of scoring goals in this tournament. What more does he need to show?
Yeah, that's it. And it's interesting. The big trend was that there were more goals in the Xbox One side of the bracket, whether it be the group stages, knockout stages, or now the final. And actually in the final, that's not transpired the same way. We've seen more goals on the PS4 side of things, which was very interesting. But at the same time, it's still set up so well. You're right, DullenMIKE does have to change something. I think tactically he's got to try and tweak something. And this will be a big test of the young 18-year-old's flexibility on the game. Can he adapt? Can he course correct? Or will he get stuck in his ways that ultimately aren't working right now? And I think he's got to do something to counteract Yannick's style of play. The fact that he is keeping the spaces tight. And so therefore, I think, just a formation change. Someone that could maybe give him an extra number in midfield. Because right now he's losing that battle. It's a 5-on-4 battle. And he seems to be losing out in the 50-50s more often than not. If he can swing that element of the game in his favor, then he's going to stand a chance of at least getting back into this game. And you feel like in this second leg, Alex, the first goal is potentially going to be the decider. We saw it with deto. He scored it. He scored the first one in the second leg to make it 4-1. We thought that had put the game beyond reach for MoAuba. That turned out not to be the case. But in this one, I do feel like it could be that first goal that decides it.
Yeah, I think you're right about a formation change maybe needing to be the thing that DullenMIKE goes for, because he went for that 4-2-3-1 and had one man in attack, and João Victor just got isolated in the number 10 spot. And if you can push the wide men out wide like MoAuba was doing with Weghorst and Ginczek more wide, and Victor trying to link them all up in between, that might be the way that he can go here, because those are the key guys for Wolfsburg, the attacking players, the big guys up front, Ginczek and Weghorst. They're the ones that have got both MoAuba before this and DullenMIKE to this stage, and they obviously are getting unlocked by João Victor to get themselves the goals. If he can do that in some way, it's going to be the way that gets him through to this final. But just like MoAuba, the Wolfsburg man has a mountain to climb in the second leg. Maybe he can take inspiration from his teammate to try and produce another second leg performance, just like MoAuba did to force a third game, a golden goal game. But like I said, at the moment, it's looking very confident for Yannick, and I'm very confident in him being able to pull this off.
Yeah, I think it's a Cinderella story for Yannick. I mean, really being the underdog throughout all of this. And then coming out the way he has, representing Augsburg, who, let's be honest, they don't get many success experiences in the real life or in the virtual world.
Yeah.
And Yannick had to come through the Virtual Bundesliga playoffs on account of Augsburg not finishing in the top 6 of the Virtual Bundesliga regular season. DullenMIKE was also a playoff contender as well, and they certainly seem to have fared better. Maybe it really is a case of, you haven't been able to rely on teammates. You've had to earn your way there from start to finish through the playoffs instead of doing the Virtual Bundesliga regular season where you've got a team of potentially 3-4 players, sometimes 2 in the case of Werder Bremen, who were our title winners. They just had Megabit and Dr. Ahano this year, and that's it. And that's it. Werder Bremen, when it comes to the team portion of it, they are the almighty power in the Virtual Bundesliga. They've won the regular season in back-to-back seasons. Last year, they also crowned it with Megabit winning the individual prize. That's not the case, but Wolfsburg are seen as the hot young challengers, let's say. They've got the hottest properties in the esport market with some of the best young talent. DullenMIKE is top of that list in terms of the teenagers in there, but let's be honest, CR7X is quite young as well and definitely going places, even if he didn't have his best tournament. Lots of frustration for him in the group stages. Salzoy's not too much older either. He's got a wealth of experience. And so, yeah, Wolfsburg are looking like they're trying to really establish themselves in the esports world as big contenders. And it would be a shame, having had 4 representatives in here, if they weren't to have at least one make it to the cross-console final.
Yeah, the most representatives of any team in this tournament, and 2 in each console final, and then to end up with none would be a huge disappointment, especially when, as you said, it's guys like MoAuba and DullenMIKE who are leading the charge for them. And MoAuba coming into this tournament, representing them through the playoffs as well. A huge chance for them to make another statement, another splash. DullenMIKE has obviously enhanced his reputation no end during this weekend, but to fall at the final hurdle would be hugely disappointing for them. A bit like the team on the pitch as well, not quite getting the result that they wanted yesterday in their action on the pitch and ending up with a Europa League qualification spot rather than the automatic group stage spot, which Hoffenheim stole from them on the final day. But
the difference in 4-0 victories, right? You either lose 4-0 or you win 4-0, and that is the difference in the end.
And as you mentioned, on the other side of things, the Cinderella story for Yannick, going sort of under the radar. He shouldn't have been under the radar, really. You mentioned it. He got to this stage last year. He fell at this hurdle last year. And clearly revenge is on his mind to make up for what he almost did last year and not allow the same thing to happen. So,
well, I feel like it's his style of play that has made people underestimate him, where they've gone, oh, it's very conservative. He keeps the ball a lot. It's not the most attractive FIFA we've seen in this tournament, but when it comes to its effectiveness, it's up there with the best game plans we've seen in the tournament. And he's obviously honed those skills. He's learned his lessons from last season. He's trying to bring those over into this competition. And he right now is on a real roll, it has to be said, Yannick, and he's looking to maintain that momentum as we enter the second leg of the Xbox One final. It is Yannick with a 2-goal lead. DullenMIKE with work to do if he wants to keep his rocket soaring in the Xbox world. He did become the youngest ever winner of a FUT Champions Cup early this season. Phase 3 in Bucharest. He said it was strange to go back to school after that. And I think that's understandable.
I think it would be an added extra for him that he doesn't have to go back to school if he does get all the way in this, having completed his exams.
Yeah, that's assuming he passes them, Alex.
This is true. This is true. We have to wait and see the results of DullenMIKE. So we don't want to be, the distraction that causes him to fail some exams, but we may well have done that with the Virtual Bundesliga Grand Final.
Just having a look as well, Yannick now unbeaten in his last 9 games, so a huge streak when he needed it most in this tournament. Starting in the group stages, it was a 3-1 aggregate win against Der Gaucho. He actually drew 2-2 with CR7X in his other meeting with a Wolfsburg representative. But this time faring better in the knockout stages. He picked up 2 wins against Alex Chappie to knock out the Leipzig man, and then it was a draw in the first leg against X-Impact. Oh, and he just turned the wrong way. Mike Dullen there with Daniel Ginczek.
He started really well here, DullenMIKE, with the early possession in the first 10 minutes, and that was the chance. As you said, just turned the wrong way, just went to go on to Ginczek's favoured right foot, but the space was open for a left-footed move. Didn't quite read it that way, and he perhaps expected Yannick to read it as if he was going to go to the left as well and wanted to try and call his bluff and go the other way, whereas Yannick was ready for it. But here is DullenMIKE going forward again. A shot over the bar, though, from Daniel Ginczek. Not exactly what he wants to have in front of goal.
But we're seeing him have more success against Yannick's style of play, and it really is because he's taking more risks. And, okay, fine, he's not looking for the clear-cut chances. He's happy to have half chances from outside the area as well. But the fact that he's managed to start this game in a very different manner suggests that a comeback could be on the cards, Alex. That's what he'll have wanted to do.
That's what he needed to do as well. He didn't need an early goal as such, just needed to get him playing his own way. At the moment in this tie, it's been Yannick dictating how the game has been played. DullenMIKE hasn't been able to produce his usual style of FIFA. Again, Yannick is not going to sit back and just allow that to happen. He's going to keep pushing forward as well and try his best to get more goals going forward.
Yeah, his ability to keep the ball in tight spaces and work it within like a 5-yard radius without conceding possession, but also whilst getting his opponent to react is something that really Yannick stands out for, I think. And we saw that in the Bundesliga home challenge as well. It was the big difference. We had some pro Bundesliga players making the crossover into the virtual world. And the big thing we noticed in terms of the trends was that the esports pros, they just had this level of intricacy to their play that a casual player cannot have. And Yannick has really worked out how to exploit that well for his own style of play. It allows him to take time off the clock. It allows him to retain possession, because in this situation, with not a lot of room to work with Iago, he finds an outlet. Wasn't that difficult, admittedly, because he's playing it around the back line. I understand that, but the same principle applies when he's further up the pitch as well. And it's one of the defining qualities we've seen in his style of play, along with the patience game. No rush, no panic. And this is the difference, Alex. Deto tried to shut things up in his second leg against MoAuba, but didn't really do a great job of it. Yannick is doing a much better job of it so far, and already you can tell how good a job he's doing it, because DullenMIKE has a pause lined up.
That's it. 28 minutes in, and Yannick there. All that passing, it might not look like it's taking him anywhere and doesn't look that difficult, but all the time it's building pressure on DullenMIKE, who, interestingly enough, is playing with English comms now and pushing his team forward, as you can see there. Going more attack-minded as he has to. He didn't have that many men actually going forward there in the opening half an hour. Definitely forcing his way forward. But Yannick, as you said, all of that passing just builds pressure on DullenMIKE. It forces him to need to come out. And as time goes on and as that passing continues, it's just going to get more and more frustrating for the Wolfsburg man until he can do something.
Yeah, interesting to see him there with the English menus. But maybe that was him learning and practicing for his English exams, or maybe he's a big Derek Ray fan, the Bundesliga commentator, and wanted the English commentary as opposed to Wolf Fuß, who does the German one.
Perhaps
Can't really blame him for that.
He's perhaps been listening to our streams as well when we've been doing them.
Well, I'd hope so. We have very much enjoyed the performances of DullenMIKE that we have been able to see. And against Der Gaucho, he really was particularly impressive, it has to be said, over the course of those 2 legs. And that was why he had this hype train behind him.
That sort of pass there, though, that we just saw from him, you can see the frustration on his face. That's what this pressure from Yannick is forcing him to do. It's making DullenMIKE want to make more risky passes. Sometimes they do work out, though, as he gets into the box here with Daniel Ginczek. Almost a chance for João Victor. Fabian Giefer's hand in the way, though.
That was close. And that could have been a very important moment for DullenMIKE. Instead, we still wait for that first shot on target. Can Yannick produce it with his first real foray forward? The answer is no. Brooks, the man mountain at the back for Wolfsburg, quelling the threat, and it's allowed DullenMIKE to break down the other end here with Josip Brekalo. He only had one player in the box to aim for with the cross, so he's worked it a little bit differently. Still here with the Croatian, lovely little ball roll, finds Ginczek, oh, it's off the post!
Outstanding work from DullenMIKE to open up that space. I was just going to say how Yannick had all men behind the ball, such a crowded area around the edge of his own penalty box, but superb from DullenMIKE to find the pass into the middle, and a rocket shot, but so unlucky to see it bounce back off the post.
Yeah, and this is the difficulty for DullenMIKE as well. He knows that Yannick is going to have the majority of possession from now until the end of the 90 minutes. As a result, he knows he's going to have limited chances to work with. He needs 2 goals. There is a chance, Alex, that he may only have 2 chances in the second half. As a result, he has to be perfect. And when chances like that open up and they don't get taken, it's got to be a bit of a pit in your gut type feeling of, oh, it's just not going to go my way. Am I going to have enough time? Is there going to be enough chances for me to even stand a chance of taking this to extra time, a third game and golden goal, or complete what would be an incredible comeback at this stage with, what, just over a half left to play in this second leg?
That's it. DullenMIKE has been one of those guys who's been one of the most composed in this tournament so far. Despite his young age, he's had tightly contested games throughout, and even in the knockout rounds against Sakul, he had to win the game in the second leg, and against Der Gaucho, he had to overcome a comeback from the Gladbach man. You can see some frustration creeping in, though, from the teenager. Just needs to keep calm, because he knows one goal can set alight the rest of the goals to follow. But so far, he's done his job to nullify Yannick's attacking moves, but himself with 3 shots and none of them on target. It's disappointing at the other end for the Wolfsburg man as well, and he'll definitely want to be taking the next chance whenever it comes.
Yeah, that's it. We praised Kai Deto Volin in his second leg against MoAuba for not necessarily parking the bus. He was still trying to create chances himself, and Yannick wasn't not trying to create chances, but he has done, let's say, a more effective job of parking the bus, Alex, and I think he's a little less ashamed of the fact that against a player like DullenMIKE, that probably is the way he has to go about this to stand a chance of defending this 2-goal lead, and, as we keep underlining, going one better than last season when he got knocked out at this stage of the competition against Megabit. He missed out on a spot in the cross-console final. I mean, it's a saving grace and maybe a slight moniker to be able to say, oh, at least I lost to the guy that went on to win the whole tournament. But Yannick, this season, would rather be the player winning the whole tournament.
Huge for him to come back from that as well, get himself into this position. And then so far, through 3 halves of this Xbox One final, he has done his job perfectly. Can he do the final job in these final 45 minutes of the Xbox One final? Yannick is about 6 minutes in real time away from confirming his place in the cross-console final. DullenMIKE came into this as one of the favourites for the tournament, for today's play. Definitely the favourite over Yannick, but so far he has been outclassed by the Augsburg man. What will transpire in these final 45 minutes?
Now, we mentioned that DullenMIKE completed his end-of-year exams earlier this week. Yannick himself is actually training to become a lawyer. He said he loves the job and wants to develop other skills outside of FIFA. For now, Niederlechner with a chance to maybe put the game beyond reach. And instead, he has to settle for a corner. Deflected on its way through, and that's the side netting from Reece Oxford. Yannick hadn't had any shots in the first half. He's had 2 in quick succession in the second. Maybe just a warning there to DullenMIKE that this isn't going to be one-way traffic. He's not ready just to defend, but he will be looking to create chances. But I was going to make the point, he is training to become a lawyer. This is very much the closing argument. Is his case strong enough to get himself into that cross-console final? Here is Renato Steffen for DullenMIKE, blocked by Oxford. Chance still alive! Not the most convincing defending at the back from Yannick that we've seen, but he gets away with it. The corner worked to the edge of the area with Itta. Now with May. Ginczek back to goal. Neat little turn. Finds Brekalo.
Lovely.
Near post finish. It's overpowered, and it has, in this case, overpowered Yannick.
Superb attacking move there from DullenMIKE. Finally, he stays calm in front of goal, and that lovely drag back to produce the assist here. You see it now. Daniel Ginczek. Outstanding work from him to get past Felix Udokai and then play the ball to Josip Brekalo. In on goal. Superb football from him. And a huge, huge goal to score in the opening 10 minutes of the second half. Right back into this tie. 2-1 across both legs. Yannick isn't going to be forced to press on much more, but he knows now that a 1-goal lead is a very, very worrying lead to have in any game of football across the sport.
Yeah, I wonder as well whether he'll have been watching that second leg between Deto and MoAuba and wondering whether he can afford to be as defensive and try and set up shop, or whether he will feel like he needs a 3rd goal here. We thought the first goal in this game, in this second leg, might be decisive. We'll wait to see whether our predictions were accurate or not. But right now, the opening goal has, at the very least, given DullenMIKE a little more confidence, put a little more wind in his sails, And the question is, can he now use that momentum to press on and get a second goal that would at the very least set us up for a third game with golden goal rules?
Any goal against Yannick is so huge because such a frustrating player to play against, and you get so worried about being unable to find the back of the net. When you finally do, you just get that belief back in you. You know you can do it. You remind yourself that, hey, Yannick's only like me. He's human as well. He's not perfect at defending, as good as he does look. Without the ball, so many men behind for Augsburg, and Daniel Ginczek in the end there getting hounded out by Udakite.
Yeah, cutting out those ball into feet for Daniel Ginczek is definitely going to be something Yannick has to do in these closing stages, because if he doesn't get touch tight, what we've seen is that DullenMIKE works the ball very well in tight spaces. And Ginczek, with those upgraded for Daniel Ginczek 3-star skills, has a few more tricks in his locker that he can call upon. Schlager gets the ball back after a misplaced pass. Oh, Stefan went for the first time pass for DullenMIKE. It is cut out. It's very clear to see that Yannick is definitely in a defensive mode right now.
Oh, this could be the chance.
Pushing forward, but a chance here. Niederlechner doesn't have much on. He finds Andre Hahn. No one in the box to aim for. Leuven back to Hahn. Want to get it to Richter on the edge of the area. Instead, he's forced back out wide. Here is Richter in the box. Angle is tight. Richter doesn't go for goal. And in the end, the chance wasted by Yannick.
He didn't go for it from that angle, which just goes along with his usual style of play, just trying to work for the perfect chance. Kiefer coming out and making a crucial header there, but 15 minutes to go now. We'll see the final changes. Here come the fresh legs in attack for DullenMIKE. Changing some things around, pushing everyone forward.
All the bars are going all the way up for DullenMIKE. He's got nothing to lose. It's all or nothing. He's got, just over a minute of real time to work with here. He may have just one chance to work with. He's got to risk it for the biscuit.
He's got to risk it for the biscuit indeed, and that is exactly what he's doing. The fresh legs are on. Everyone is going up the pitch. I'm expecting to see Yannick as well drop right back and try and look for some counter-attacking football, but I doubt we'll see many Augsburg players in the Wolfsburg half in these final 15 minutes, James.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what DullenMIKE's going to pack out. I wonder whether he will just throw all the bodies forward, pop onto all-out attack mode. And that is it. I mean, we were talking about it between the first leg and second leg, this concept of Yannick being the better FIFA 20 player, but maybe DullenMIKE being the better FIFA player overall. His skill set really is transferable across all versions, whereas Yannick seems to really have honed in on the specialty of how to win in FIFA 20.
It's not been a game for many people, but it's certainly been the game for Yannick.
Well, if you're a defensive specialist, it plays straight to your strengths, doesn't it?
It does indeed, of course. That's what he's been able to do so far. Just has to make sure, DullenMIKE, that he doesn't allow any more goals at the other end. He's got everyone pushed forward. He needs to make the most of it, because he's not got a lot of time remaining here.
Yeah, as Wolfsburg advance, the Augsburg backline drops deeper and deeper, but Vargas wins it in a dangerous position. Has time and space to work with. Brooks across to cover. The Swiss youngster keeping him guessing, but Brooks comes out on top. And then Vargas wins it back.
Yannick proving a nightmare for DullenMIKE here.
Oh, chance as well. Itter went on a walkabout. Niederlechner was wide open, unmarked at the near post. He went for the overhead kick, Alex, which I'm always a fan of, but if anything, I think a more simple finish may have benefited Niederlechner in that situation. He may have another one here. Vargas again trying to get past his man.
DullenMIKE's so frustrated here. He's pushed everyone forward, yet Yannick has been the one who's been in total control of this game. Outstanding from the Augsburg man to force this. The frustration is building so much for Wolfsburg's DullenMIKE.
Well, he's not a big fan of time-wasting tactics, DullenMIKE. We actually saw it in the invitational tournament that was put on during the coronavirus pandemic by Swedish side Malmö. And Wolfsburg took on Malmö, and let's be honest, they tried time-wasting, and DullenMIKE got so frustrated, a 1-0 loss turned into a 4-0 loss because he just lost his rag completely. Admittedly, that was a friendly tournament, but nothing on the line. There's a lot on the line here. Prize money, prestige, Global Series FIFA points as well for next season as they look to carve out their reputations and book themselves a place in the delayed, or I should say cancelled, that will be redone FIFA E World Cup. And you can't really blame DullenMIKE for letting the frustration creep in here. We've all been there. He is just 18 years of age. The youngest player left in the competition, but not by much. Yannick's just a year older than him, but he right now is letting time tick away down here in the corner. A couple of corners. Willing trying to shield the ball with Vargas, and then DullenMIKE, I will give him credit there, Alex, and I actually think that FIFA cleared that ball for him, and it wasn't a clearance of his own. It put it straight out of play for a throw-in.
Maybe one last chance now for DullenMIKE.
Time is precious right now. Yannick will happily foul, I think, as well. That is another point to make. He tried there on Paolo Ottavio, but missed out. Oxford now out of position, trying to hair back. Into feet for Klaus. First pass cut out, the second makes its way through to May. This is last chance saloon, and Karamoko sees his shot blocked. The controller hits the floor for DullenMIKE. The head sets off. He's not happy about the way this game has transpired, but who would when you've missed out on a chance to book your ticket to a cross-console final? And that is what Yannick has done. He missed out last season, losing to Megabit. He's gone one better in the current campaign. DullenMIKE, the hype train is derailed, but congratulations to Yannick. He saw it out. He provides some very savvy moments there, despite his tender age of 19. And really, I think we can say a fully deserving finalist, or cross-console finalist, and Xbox One champion.
DullenMIKE labelled as the German Wunderkind, but the Wunderkind has been outplayed by the man just 1 year older than him, Yannick. Outstanding from him to not allow DullenMIKE to play his own game in either of those games. Only 1-0 win for DullenMIKE in the second leg when he needed to come back. And the fact is that in that second leg, Yannick actually almost, got himself goals at the other end as well. And for the most part was keeping that stranglehold on DullenMIKE that he had from the first leg. And as you said, James, a deserved place in the cross-console final. And now we know who we will have in that cross-console final.
And the upsets continue. This whole tournament, the Virtual Bundesliga Grand Final by AING, has been full of upsets. It's been incredibly unpredictable, very much like the Bundesliga in real life that was a topsy-turvy affair all the way to the end. And right now, it looks like that's going to be the way the Virtual Bundesliga Grand Final goes as well, because if we're being honest, MoAuba was the favourite against deto, and deto came out on top. And DullenMIKE was the favourite against Yannick, but Yannick's come out on top. And I think we have a very interesting matchup now in this cross-console final. Two players that do have a very similar approach to FIFA20 and to this game, and it'll be interesting who can assert their authority on that cross-console final. Will it be deto? Will it be Yannick? We are just waiting to hear right now whether we're going to be having post-match interviews with DullenMIKE and Yannick. I'm not sure DullenMIKE will be that intrigued or interested in getting on the mic himself. Whether his headset still works after throwing it to the floor is another question. But again, we've all been there. We've all been there. I'm not throwing any shade at DullenMIKE for having an emotional reaction, because this does mean a lot to these players. And let's be honest, with DullenMIKE, he is young. He's got plenty of time. He's got a great career ahead of him, Alex. I don't think he needs to worry too much about this setback. What he does need to do is learn from it.
Yeah, that's it. He's had such an amazing tournament from the first game, beating Megabit the way that he did, and then coming through this to reach this stage of the competition. He was outstanding throughout and played his own way, but at the final hurdle, someone has come along and, as you said, derailed the hype train, because this is the first time we've really seen him be outplayed in any game across this tournament so far. So I can totally understand the frustration, because he's done so well to get to this stage for the first time. But it's not going to be the last time for DullenMIKE, that's for sure. He's definitely going to be at this level again very soon. And now he has the chance to rebuild and look ahead to next season. It's been such a long time, as we said, to wait from the end of the Virtual Bundesliga season to now. So it was always going to be difficult for anyone to build up that momentum again for this grand final weekend. But he did well to reach this stage, and that's what he has to take away from it. Take away the positives.
No, absolutely. I think for both DullenMIKE and MoAuba, I don't think I'm going too far by saying had this been in FIFA Ultimate Team mode, it may have been a very different result. But the 85 game mode definitely plays to the strengths of Yannick and deto, and it does look like we are now going to be able to hear from the winner, Yannick, who is talking about how incredibly
Der
happy
größte
he is
Erfolg
to
in deiner
have gone one
Karriere,
better
kann man,
than
glaub
last
ich, ganz
season.
klar so sagen. Wie willst du jetzt, also wie gehst du damit um? Vor allem, ich sag mal so, jetzt ist ja jetzt schon große Freude. Wie kannst du dich jetzt noch aufs Finale konzentrieren?
Question is how he's going to concentrate in the
Ja,
final,
es ist
given all
natürlich
this
schwer, weil wie du schon
happiness.
sagtest, die Freude ist natürlich groß, aber jetzt,
Said it's
wenn man
very
die
difficult
Xbox-Seite
because he
gewonnen
is
hat,
very
will man
happy with
natürlich
his
auch noch
first
gegen den
result in the
PlayStation-Sieger
final.
gewinnen. Und jetzt auch noch gegen Kai, also gegen Deto, das ist auch noch ein Pro-Club-Kollege von mir, also wir verstehen uns auch zusammen auf dem Platz.
So these guys play pro clubs together as
Wir haben
well,
grad
so
gesehen,
they
du hast auch
know
stark
each other's game
gejubelt,
quite well,
in
which
deiner
adds
Facecam haben wir
another
es gesehen.
fascinating element
Ich
to the
weiß, dass
final.
ein paar Leute bei dir auch in der Nähe sind. Wie laut waren die Schreie aus dem Nebenraum?
And so these guys, the presenters at RAN, have picked up the fact that
Jetzt
Yannick
sind
is
sie
not
sogar mit
alone
im
in that.
Zimmer, also waren natürlich
Dreh die
mega
Kamera,
laut. Auch
Kamera
Philipp war die
drehen,
ganze
los.
Zeit neben mir
Oder
gestanden.
bitte vor die Kamera kommen. Wir wollen
They're
sehen, wer da
asking
noch
him to
mit
turn
bei
the
dir jetzt am
camera
Start
around.
ist. Du bist
So you can see-
in der
look at him,
Arena,
he's
im
in-
Alle mal vor die
Stadion, das
Kamera
ist ja auch
kommen.
gut. Ja,
He's in the VVK Arena.
So zocken die Jungs in
And
der
he does have
Loge.
people in
So,
attendance
Ist der
as
übrigens
well.
geil, man hört es am Dialekt. Du bist wahrscheinlich so ja Augsburg-Fan, richtig?
Ja, also ich bin schon länger Mitglied bei Augsburg und auch Fan.
So he's
Ja,
been a
wie
long
geil
time
ist das?
member
Das
and
ist
fan
gut
with
gemacht.
Augsburg.
Ja, Philipp. Grüß euch.
Oh, no Marco Richter. I'm a
Also,
little
große
disappointed.
Freude in Augsburg.
he's got a whole team there, Alex. That's
Junge,
absolutely
sitzt da bei
incredible.
dir im Stadion
No wonder Yannick's
vom
setting himself
FC
up for
Augsburg
success here.
Und spielst jetzt gleich um die virtuelle Meisterschaft. Ihr habt die Klasse gehalten. Bester Sonntag deines Lebens, oder was?
Genau,
Yeah,
Klassenerhalt
congratulating
letzte
them
Woche
for the
klar
fact that
gemacht.
Augsburg managed to
das Finale,
survive the
perfekt.
Bundesliga season.
Das
And
wird
now this is a
Wahnsinn.
great
Wie
Sunday,
gehst
given
du's
the fact
an
that
gegen
he is the
Deto? Ich
cross-console
mein,
final.
Du hast ja vor kurzem erst die PlayStation BFV eFootball League gewonnen. Das ist die offizielle Liga des Bayerischen Fußballverbands auf der PlayStation mit deinen Brüdern zusammen. Das heißt, du bist bestens vorbereitet.
Yeah, so
Genau, also da war jede
Yannick
Woche war
has
dann
won
Spieltag,
a
also habe ich schon die
PlayStation
ganze
tournament
Saison über
already
auch auf
set
der
up by
PlayStation
the
trainiert.
Bavarian
Jetzt aufs
Football
Finale auch noch ein
Association.
paar Games dort gemacht. Also ich bin auch auf der PlayStation vorbereitet.
So yeah, he's
Da
been
sind wir mal
practicing on the
gespannt.
PlayStation
Ich
as well
weiß,
before today.
dass,
He's been
Deto
playing
auch
with
ein
his
paar Spiele
brother,
gemacht hat, aber ich
who
glaube, das
goes by the name of
definitiv mehr
Philip. He's
Spiele
also on
gewesen.
the Augsburg
den schlechten
esports
Witz
team.
bringen,
So
weil
yeah, he feels very well
DullenMIKE nicht mehr
prepared,
am Start. Da
Yannick,
hat die
for this
Mutter den Stecker
cross-console
gezogen.
final.
Er kommt nicht mehr mit rein, aber
Ah, DullenMIKE isn't joining the call. I wonder why, Alex.
Wir machen eine ganz kurze Durchlaufpause und dann gibt es natürlich die Entscheidung, wir holen noch Deto dazu, welche Konsole macht den Anfang?
This is it. The coin toss for the
oder
cross-console
PlayStation.
final as to which console will host the first game. And it'll be these guys who toss that coin. They are the game masters, as they like to call them in this tournament. We're going to have to wait for that because I think we're going to take a break and then toss the coin. But interesting to hear that Yannick, not only has he won a whole league system on PS4 in FIFA20 with that Bavarian Football Association tournament. But the fact is, yeah, very comfortable on the PS4 as well, playing with his brother Philip, who is also a member of that Augsburg esports team. And right now, you've got to feel like that's going to fill him with confidence going into this cross-console final against Deto, who, as he said, they're familiar with each other. They play pro clubs together. Another fascinating element of it. And now we've got Deto in the call as well because they are going to do the coin toss. I think we're going to be able to see that in just a moment. Do you think it's much advantage to have the first game on your own console, or would you rather, Alex, have your second game on your own console?
I think just like football in real life, it's better to have the second leg at home. I guess it's hard to say that when Yannick has just come out and said that he feels perfectly at home on both consoles. So perhaps for Deto, it might be nicer to have the PlayStation game, the second one. But I think they'll be happy with either way that it goes, as we can get in there to check how the toss goes.
It's a lovely coin. I wouldn't mind having one myself, I have to say.
Ich werfe das Ding jetzt hoch, packe es danach auf meinen Handrücken. Dann, das, was ihr oben seht, wird die Konsole sein, auf der das erste
Put it onto his other hand.
Völlig
The
richtig
coin toss
erklärt.
is usually done.
I feel like we should do a drum roll or something, Alex.
Um das zu checken.
Once it gets going. Here we go.
So, wie machen wir das jetzt eigentlich hier mit dem Winkel?
Erstmal aufdecken.
Ja, okay.
Hand hoch. Oben liegt die PlayStation. Jetzt halt mal fest und kipp's vielleicht in die Kamera.
So the PlayStation will host the first game, so it'll be Kai, Deto, Volin.
Auf der PlayStation an, die Xbox folgt dann danach.
So,
Vorteil für Deto ist die Frage.
Ja,
Also
werden wir
asking
sehen. Also wir
Deto
haben
whether
gehört, Yannick
it's an advantage
mit
for
viel
him.
PlayStation-Spielen in den letzten Wochen und Monaten. Also da sind wir doch sehr gespannt. Ihr zwei müsst euch vorbereiten.
ich will noch eine Frage stellen.
Ja.
Ich will noch eine Frage stellen. Deto, was du jetzt gerade gesehen hast, die Formation, die Yannick da gespielt hat, wir haben hier drüber bei uns beide gesprochen. Besonderes für dich gewesen? Hast du da ein bisschen Schiss vor, was man tagtäglich
Asking
sieht?
him whether he's a bit scared of the formation that
Ich
Yannick
habe
was
ehrlich
using in his
gesagt gar
games.
nicht zugeguckt. Also,
Deto didn't even watch the game. He was so focused on his own game.
Ich Pause und ich musste erstmal abschalten und ich glaube,
So he
ich
decided
kann
to
das
take
auch,
a
also ich
break.
traue mir das zu, während des Spiels auch einfach mich anzupassen, umzustellen, wenn das jetzt irgendwas Besonderes ist.
But he says he would
Das
back
ist,
himself
das
to
ist
be
gut. Ehrlich, so
flexible
wollen wir das
and
hören. Alles klar, dann
adaptable
sag
to
ich Dankeschön. Jetzt noch mal ein
cope with
Stückchen
what
Wasser
Yannick is
nehmen,
going to throw
nochmal
at him.
runterkommen und dann geht's gleich los mit dem ersten.
And that is an interesting facet of it, the fact that he decided not to watch it. He decided to take a break, maybe just reset the mind as well, which is an important thing in these pressure situations when it comes down to the moments that will define whether you are going to come out as the champion or not. But interesting that Deto didn't watch. But still confident, and he's got the first game on his own console.
Yeah, that's a huge advantage for him. Obviously, we know that Yannick is a big PlayStation guy, but maybe for Deto, obviously, we just said maybe it would have been better for him to have it on the second leg. But for him, he can try and get confidence and go out and maybe get a lead in this first leg, which is something that he's shown he's able to defend just about with a golden goal to help him in the game against MoAuba. He's able to defend a first leg league for the most part. But it is really interesting, actually, that he didn't watch that game. I think he's just had so much preparation for this tournament, you know, so much time to watch all of these guys play. He obviously knows Yannick so well. He doesn't need to see exactly how he lined up or how he played in that semi-final for him to know what he's going to do. And it's interesting, again, as you said, that they are Pro Club's teammates. I'm sure they've had a few good times on there, but now it's going to be the friendship put to one side for a couple of games of FIFA here.
Yeah, last year we had Megabit and MoAuba going against each other, and the friendship had to be put aside. You know, the two club teammates at Werder Bremen. This, a slightly different one. And yeah, given the fact that, let's be honest, Leverkusen and Augsburg aren't known for success or winning titles, this would be quite a feat for both of these two players, and that is what it's going to come down to on the cross console. And it was Yannick who's talked about it, earlier this season, actually, during the Virtual Bundesliga regular season. He said that when it comes to aspiring players, what they really have to do when it comes to this game is have fun, train, believe in a dream, and don't give up after the setbacks. And I think that really is the tale of this Cinderella story for Yannick. He didn't give up on the setback of last season. He's come back stronger. He's worked out how to play to his strengths a little bit more. And I think with Deto not watching, genuinely, I believe that is an interesting mindset to take, because it shows that Deto's so confident in his own game. His focus is on executing his game plan, that he's not actually going to let Yannick or the way he plays dictate whether he's going to change. Instead, he's going to stay to what he has faith in. And that's a very interesting way of approaching this final.
Yeah, as I said, there's very little he could probably have actually learned from watching that game. He knows Yannick so well, knows how he plays. He knows what to expect from the Augsburg man, and he's going to go into this game with the same mindset, whether he had watched that game or not. He wants to be the one in control of the ball because, as we've just seen, Yannick, when he is in control of the ball, is very difficult to beat. So Deto knows he has to come out quickest and probably get the first goal and try and dictate the possession from the off. And that's how he can probably try and beat Yannick. But the man, both men are informed to get to this level, but I think the man most informed from those games that we've just seen so far has to be Yannick, because
I tell you, it's not easy to call.
For me, conceding that few amount of goals against DullenMIKE is huge, but obviously it's going to be a totally different ball game against Deto, who is even more goal friendly than DullenMIKE was. So it's going to be a much more difficult task for Yannick to keep him out. We'll have to wait and see if the tables totally turn. Anything can happen across console final. Form tends to go out of the window for these, one-off games, and obviously both these guys capable on both consoles, so very little advantages whatever way you look at it.
No, absolutely not. I mean, if anything, the big advantage is the fact that both of these players are at opposite ends of the experience spectrum. Kai Deto, 31 years old, he is a two-time world champion, a one-time PlayStation world champion in 2017, not to mention 3 German titles to his name as well. And technically, this won't be him reclaiming his title because it wasn't actually a Virtual Bundesliga back then, but he would be recrowned German champion if he was to come out on top in that cross-console final against Yannick, who, yes, at the other end of the spectrum, 19 years old, really finding his way in this esports career path, but finding a very good way. He's #1 player at Augsburg, no doubt about it. And you can see why based on these performances, because, as I say, there is an element of composure to his game that isn't really befitting of his age. You would think the 19-year-old would be a little more gung-ho, looking for goals more often, and he actually has this very conservative approach that is so pragmatic. And I think that speaks volumes of his development. And then again, what he's learned from last season, where he's taken the lessons, he's honed the skills, he's maybe made a few tweaks here and there, and it's come out really well for him in this tournament.
100%. He's stuck to what he knows and built on the foundations that got him to this level last year, where he obviously fell to Megabit, but now he's gone one step further with that help of the preparations over the last year. And you know, now there's a €25,000 prize fund waiting for the winner at the end. The runner-up will come away with €10,000 as well. So
it's not so bad.
Not so bad. I think €10,000 minimum is all right for these guys, but you know, the incentive is also there financially for these guys. But I think the main thing they'll be wanting to do is lift that Meisterschale at the end of the game and see who is crowned the Virtual Bundesliga Grand Final champion.
And it's like a Cinderella story for both. I mean, we've talked about the qualities for Yannick, but Deto as well. He was arguably the biggest surprise package in the Virtual Bundesliga regular season. Everyone knew of his pedigree. They knew that he was a former world champion and German champion as well. But he really had dropped off a little bit in recent seasons of FIFA, where he wasn't enjoying as much success. He wasn't quite the behemoth that he was before on the game. And this has been a redemption story for him all season. Leverkusen finished 18th in the Virtual Bundesliga regular season last year. And then in the current campaign, they jumped all the way up to third. And Kai Deto Vollen was one of the main reasons behind that. He had a fantastic set of games, 21 games, 7 wins, 9 draws, 5 defeats, scoring 30 times during that period as well, which was certainly one of the better records in the solos during the Virtual Bundesliga regular season. But he had talked about feeling like he could still be a FIFA champion again. He felt like he still had the potential. And a lot of people, I think, in the esports world maybe balked at that a little bit. Oh, 31 years old, you're a veteran now. You know, can't really cut it with the young guns of the game anymore. And he's proven them emphatically wrong in this tournament, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, he's had changes away from the console as well. We looked at that and we spoke about it before the stream began, that Deto has gone on a body change in the last year or so. He's been in the gym and been dramatically working on his body, and he's fantastic stuff. A la Leon Goretzka for Bayern Munich. In the real world, he's you know, gained some muscle mass and has, you know, he's not the old school gamer that everyone likes to think of when gaming first began. In fact, a caption I think read, everyone thinks that esports players aren't athletes. ... So he's proving that you know, wrong in every way, and now he's trying to do it again on the console as well, trying to reach new heights that would be for him a first to, as you said, clinch the official Virtual Bundesliga Grand Final title. If he can do that against Yannick, it would mark the end of a really, really good year for him, both on and off the console.
Yeah, really. I mean, yeah, if you're going to be, you already be crowned the PlayStation champion, to be crowned the cross-console champion and therefore the Virtual Bundesliga Grand Final winner. That really would be a fitting end to this redemption story. Although, in fairness, I feel like either story is going to have a fitting end here. It's just one or the other. It's whether we have the Cinderella story or the redemption song for Deto. You know, it really is one of those. But I am fascinated to see. And you're right. I do think this health kick has obviously really been a massive part of this change in form this season. And he thinks, Deto, that esports can learn from real sports when it comes to nutrition and how to take care of your body and therefore get the best out of yourself. He feels like there's nothing, to quote him, nothing more important than health. You've got to look after yourself to get the best out of yourself. And he said that a lot of esports pros really had to find what works for them when it comes to maintaining those concentration levels across an entire tournament. And that is something that we can give Deto and Yannick, admittedly, great credit for, because this has been demanding on them mentally in order to stay sharp, stay focused, and maintain those concentration levels across all games to be successful, to book their place in the cross-console final. And really, it's set up so well, where it's the two underdogs, really, from the console finals that have come through, put themselves in with a chance of claiming the entire title. And I have to say, the title, the trophy is a beautiful thing. So I think I'll be very jealous of whoever gets their hands on it, has to be said.
We always dream of winning any Meisterschale it could be, but I think with it, we've probably come closest to winning the FIFA one, even if it would be miles off for either of us. But yeah, certainly for Deto, it's been a huge turn of events for him to get to this point, and now he's reached the the pinnacle. Can he go one step further? And Yannick is trying to do that as well, of course.
Well, that's the thing. The closest I've ever come, Alex, was I got a mini Meisterschale because I won an inter-office tournament at the DFL offices. I know you're in that tournament this year, so you might be getting a mini Meisterschale of your own, but that may be the closest either of us come ever to tasting that level of success.
And that tournament now, as everything had been with the coronavirus, was put on hold, of course. So
come on.
We're going to have to wait and see if I can become champion of the inter-office tournament this year.
We'll talk to someone and see if I can live stream it and commentate it, and then we can give the whole grand effect and grand spiel for it as well. But yeah, that would be something. But yeah, for these guys, so much prestige on the line. You mentioned the prize pool money as well. Not too shabby. You can't really turn your nose up at that, especially in these times. And for these players that they make their living off of streaming, they make their living off of esports. It's a huge cash boost to players like this, and I'm sure either Deto or Yannick will certainly put it to good use. I'm sure an investment in the new consoles coming out in the near future may be one of the first things on the shopping list. So there would be for me, wouldn't it?
It would be for me as well. That's to be fair. That's anyway for these guys to go. There's always going to be looking for the new ones, and obviously interest is high in those already, of course.
Now, we do have a couple of minutes before the cross-console final. I'm sure there's a fair few things that they have to get at, so you are going to have to bear with us just nattering away for the next couple of minutes. So I do apologize for that, but hopefully let's maybe swing it to the real Bundesliga, because there's plenty to talk about there as well. We've covered, I think, all the points before pre-match here, and ultimately we'll be making some more points before we get into that cross-console final. But the Bundesliga season, 2019-20, Alex. Bayern champions for an 8th time in a row, but one of the most unpredictable seasons we've had. What was your overall assessment of what took place in Germany's top flight?
Overall assessment is that Bayern remain top dogs again. Of course, they are just a level above everyone else, but not in terms of all-out ability. It's their endurance throughout the season, the mental edge that they tend to have over these teams. We saw Leipzig lead the table at one point. We saw Gladbach lead it for a long time during the first half of the season, and Dortmund as well. And Dortmund had a fantastic end to the second half of the season, it has to be said, but in the key games against Bayern and then at the end against Hoffenheim suffering that big defeat, it just is a sign of where Bayern have the edge. They've got the talented squad, of course, but there are some magnificent players all across the teams in the Bundesliga. It's just that little mental edge that Bayern have that takes them over the line, where they go into a game with nothing to play for against a Wolfsburg side who have Europa League group stage place to fight for, yet Bayern don't allow them any edge and come away with a big 4-0 win. So, it's another successful season for Bayern, but of course for them, hard work had to come from it, and a lot of change behind the scenes, of course, with a coaching change in between us again.
Yeah, that's it. Hansi Flick does deserve great credit for what he managed to achieve with this Bayern side. Only the second team in Bundesliga history to score over 100 goals in a single campaign. Of course, the other team that did that was Bayern München, way back in, I think it was Gerd Müller's heyday, actually. And really no surprise there when you had the Der Bomber der Nation, or the bomber of the nation, as he was nicknamed, Gerd Müller, one of the greatest, if not the greatest goal scorer ever to grace Germany's top flight. But this is it. For me, it was a year of young guns coming to the fore again. We know that the Bundesliga, when it comes to goals per game, is the most exciting league in the world, but it's also a very exciting league because it's a place where young talent really can come and make their mark, and we've seen that again this season. Of course, Erling Haaland is the big new star name that's come on board for Dortmund in the second half of the season after joining from Salzburg. But, I mean, Jadon Sancho had I can't call it a breakout year, because breakout year was last year. This was almost a career season for him, though, in terms of saying, right, this is what I'm going to be able to do on a regular basis. But, you had the Leipzig lads as well. You've got all the young French defenders, Upamecano, Konate, coming through the ranks as well. And so in terms of young talent, the Bundesliga has a plethora of it, I think it's fair to say.
I think it's unrivaled, really, across Europe, and I think that's why a lot of people love to watch the league. They know that they can see guys like Jadon Sancho and Erling Haaland on a regular basis and see how they develop. When Jadon Sancho first arrived, he was, raw and had this natural talent, but he still had so much to learn tactically. And even he's spoken about how he came to the team and got found out quite a lot in first team training at the start, because he'd looked to do his skills and do his, tricks on the pitch. But in the essence of a game, he really needs to play the right passes. And I think if you look back on his development from the first months that he was in the league to now, he's developed into a player who always knows the right thing to do more often than not, especially more often when he first joined, and still has the natural ability and is honed in on those talents to, as you said, come off what was a breakout year and turn it from what could have been a one-season wonder into a genuine world-class footballing talent. And I think he and Erling Haaland and Kai Havertz, even at Bayer Leverkusen, are going to be guys who are playing at Ballon d'Or winning level over the next decade or so. So for us to sit here and be able to enjoy the unearthing of them, the first few years of their careers in the Bundesliga is a real privilege.
That's it. And there is still 2 games to be played in the regular Bundesliga season. No, actually, I shouldn't call it the regular Bundesliga season because it's the relegation playoff. It's a 2-legged affair between the team that finished 3rd from bottom in the Bundesliga, which this season were Werder Bremen by the skin of their teeth, that has to be said, on the final day. And they will be taking on the team that finished 3rd in the tighter Bundesliga. Right now, that's a toss-up between Heidenheim and Hamburg. I mean, Hamburg would be quite something. It would be what they call here a Nord Derby in Germany, one of the oldest and most tradition-rich derbies there is in German football between Hamburg and Werder Bremen, the 2 northern rivals, and that would be quite a spectacle to have in our relegation playoff this season.
I mean, it was a UEFA Cup semi-final, wasn't it, or a quarter-final way back in...
You're talking early 90s, aren't you?
You're about
to test my knowledge.
Early 2000s. I think it was early 2000s. They played each other in the UEFA Cup. But my point is that it would be iconic, just like that, and just like this game that we are now looking ready to get underway. Here it is, folks. Settle in. We are ready for the cross-console final between Yannick of Augsburg and Deto of Bayer Leverkusen. First up, we are on the PlayStation, Deto's preferred console, even if Yannick has played on that console just as often as the Xbox. This is what we've all been waiting for, season long, way back since the start of the Virtual Bundesliga season, waiting an extra 3 months after the coronavirus put an end to the season back in the end of March. And now we are here, finally, getting things underway. It's the cross-console final. It is Yannick of Augsburg against Deto of Leverkusen. Here we go, James. This is the big one.
The moment we have all been waiting for. And you're right, we did have an 88-day delay from when the Virtual Bundesliga Grand Final was meant to take place up until it did finally start on Wednesday. But it has been well worth the wait. And really, I think the opening exchanges of this one, the cross-console final, are going to be fascinating to see who can maybe start asserting their style of play on the opponent, who will break out of their shell when necessary. And it is going to be demanding of both players. We talked about it. We had them in a pre-match interview while the coin toss was being done, and they are familiar with each other's style of play, given the fact that they are pro clubs teammates. Right now, Yannick facing an early onslaught here from Deto, who's moving it so well. And first chance, first goal. It's been a theme of the tournament for Deto, and he's kept it going in the cross-console final.
Yannick's superb defensive work opened up at the first time of asking by Deto. Absolutely fantastic movement to pick up the run from Stanilovic into the box. Volland there with the pass to him, just running through the defensive line that Augsburg had set up. And he beat Fabian Giefer as well with the shot towards the near post, something DullenMIKE was only able to do once across the 2 games. Huge for Deto to start this game off with the opening goal inside 10 minutes. Yannick's defensive work undone early, something we have not been able to say all too often in this tournament so far.
No, and unlike in the Xbox One final, it's now on Yannick to provide a response and react to falling behind early. And this was it, we were talking about it with Deto, the fact that we've seen many different sides of his FIFA style of play. Are we going to see another side from Yannick? The question is answered emphatically. Marco Richter, his Bundesliga home challenge teammate, getting the goal to level the scores. And if Deto thought that his early goal was a marker, Yannick has knocked him down a peg quickly.
We could not have asked for a better start to this game. You see there, Richter just beating Tapsoba to the pass into the box. Absolutely crucial then to be able to take that first touch and move it into a shooting position from close range. That was always going to be so difficult for Radetzky to keep out. Outstanding from Yannick to respond in this way. And 20 minutes gone, we already have a goal for either side. We spoke about how interesting it would be, the opening exchanges between these sides. Would Yannick sit back and try and take control, try and make it a low-scoring affair, or would deto come out all guns blazing? In the end, it's deto who opened the scoring, of course, and forced Yannick to play his cards the right way. And Yannick has responded superbly to equalise early on, proving once again, of course, you know, he is the defence-minded star of the Virtual Bundesliga, it has to be said, but he can also do it at the other end. There's no counting him out on finding goals at the other end himself, and he's responded superbly to deto going ahead.
It underlines the fact that both of these players, very well-rounded players, the fact that they can show many different styles of play, they can work with many different approaches and ultimately still be successful at both ends of the pitch. An early pause lined up by deto. Just wonder whether he's seen something maybe in the opening exchanges that have got him a little bit worried, but Yannick, it was so important for him not to let deto spend too much time with a lead, to knock his confidence back a little bit and regain some self-confidence after having fallen behind early. These are the types of responses we look for from the elite players, and we've got the response from both so far in this match. But I think it's fair to say deto may be wise in not overthinking his approach. He decided not to watch the Xbox One final between DullenMIKE and Yannick. Instead, he chose to take a break, just reset for 10-15 minutes in between, come back fresh and focused for the cross-console final. Deto looking to crown himself German champion on FIFA for the first time since 2014. There is Stanilovic. Augsburg and Yannick sitting very deep. Every white shirt behind the ball. Niederlechner, the first line of defence. Doesn't want to let the runner get away from him there.
Yeah, Yannick appears happy to allow deto to have possession here. He's able, of course, to allow that and not allow too many chances to come his way. But deto, of course, opened up the scoring and opened up Yannick's defence early on. He's looking to do that here again, pushing the ball towards the edge of the Augsburg box, but it's really controlled now here from deto. This is superb from him, especially having conceded that lead that he had early on, to then respond like this. Shows his patience and composure. It's going to be a difficult task to break through Yannick's defence again, but as long as he has the ball going the other way and not coming towards his goal, then he has the better chances to get himself in the lead once again. But we are approaching half-time already in this first half, and it has been a fascinating one. Both guys will be happy with how it's gone, but we are still level at 1-1.
Yeah, it's interesting, an early flurry of goals, but it's still very much a case of both of these players feeling each other out. And we should remind anyone that has maybe just joined us for the cross-console final of the Virtual Bundesliga Grand Final, the first leg being played on the PlayStation, which is deto's side of the bracket. For now, Richter getting forward well. Excuse me, Yannick getting forward well with Richter. Bayer on the ball. Tried to squeeze the ball past the Leverkusen backline, unable to do so in the end. Now with Andre Hahn. Quickly closed down by Vendel. Hahn gets it back, though. Finds Richter trying to work it into the box. And the first half goes. It's all square after 45 minutes of the first leg on the PS4. Shots and chances at a premium, Alex. And interestingly there, it was Yannick, actually, with 61% possession. So he was happy to allow deto to have possession, but ultimately he was the one that came out on top in the possession statistics.
Very interesting indeed to see that, because it didn't seem like it in the game, as how it felt, but deto just having a good end to that first half, I think. Having scored early on and conceding his lead. Quick response from Yannick, but as I said, both guys will be happy with how this first half has gone. Obviously, Yannick setting up a bit more defensively. We saw that in that little stage of the game where deto had a few moments of control of the ball, but no way through. Again, one time only thing for deto to break through Yannick's defence like that. as he did with Stanilovic, but who can maybe perhaps break out of their shell even more in this second leg? I don't think anyone's going to risk it too much because we do have that Xbox game to come, but Deto will be wanting to go into that game with a lead, considering this is on his console of choice.
That's what I was going to say. He's going to want a PS4 advantage, like a home leg advantage, right, to take with him into the away leg, which would be the one on the Xbox, which will be coming up just after this. I mean, 1-1, certainly not a bad result against Yannick. Deto, who knocked out MoAuba earlier today, the reigning FIFA E-World Cup champion. He was looking to become the champ and add a German title to his enviable trophy collection. Unable to do that. It's a 3-1 win in the first leg for Deto. MoAuba won the second leg 3-1, despite not being able to make substitutions, transfers. What am I on about? Despite not being able to make substitutions due to a bug in the game. And it went to golden goal, and Deto got that golden goal to book his place in the cross-console final. Yannick picking up a 2-1 aggregate win over Wolfsburg's DullenMIKE. And that is where we now find ourselves in the cross-console final with these two looking to crown themselves the elite in German FIFA 20 esports circles. But neither side and neither player willing to give an inch. And the feeling for me is that Deto has to break out of his shell more than Yannick. So. I think Yannick's style of play is so well suited to FIFA 20.
All the
and he's
keeper's
got a
coming
chance
out.
Here. Oh, it's into the side netting.
I don't know if that's something Deto will have actually triggered himself, whether he called on Hradecki to come out or not. We see on FIFA 20 plenty of times that the keeper brings themselves out. He would not have been happy with that at all if it had resulted in a second goal for Yannick and it had not been his choice. But the first real opening of this second half, and as you said, I do agree, Deto is the one who needs to come out of his shell a bit more, and he's trying to do that. But Yannick's defensive work is just so fantastic. He's just harrowing the Leverkusen forwards and then as well pushing himself forward and getting counter-attacking opportunities like this. Trying to beat the offside trap. There's the pass to Niederlechner. Is this the opening he needs to go ahead? He shoots. Oh, it's off the post. What an opportunity that was from a Yannick.
It's really strange and maybe ironic. We spend so much time praising Yannick's defensive abilities coming into today. And ultimately, we spent a fair bit of time praising his defensive abilities whilst we've been on stream today. But his attacking qualities are really coming to the fore as well when they have to. And that, I think, really speaks to the quality that he has brought and the way he has honed his skill on this rendition of FIFA. And this is, for me, why Deto has to break out of his shell a little bit more, because the way proceedings are going, he's not going to create that many chances. And then, of course, if he is as ruthlessly efficient as we've seen him be in taking or making the most of very few chances, then, of course, he's got an opportunity to be crowned champion. But I feel like he needs to create more. I don't think he can rely on just creating 1 or 2 chances over the course of a couple of legs against Yannick. I feel like he's got to really break out of his shell, maybe push forward, try and make life uncomfortable, keep Yannick guessing. And right now, he's very much sticking to the game plan, Deto. He's not being deterred by the way this game has transpired so far. He is looking to make a change and bring on some fresh legs for the closing stages, which, as we pointed out, is so vital in the 85 game mode that this tournament is being played in.
I do agree totally, James, because we've seen the last 10 minutes here. Since that chance for Yannick, he's dominated possession, and this is not where Deto wants to be, because this is what he wants to do. He wants to be in control of the ball and forcing balls into the box like this, where Niederlechner can work his magic around the Leverkusen box. Oh, what a finish that is! Absolutely outstanding from Yannick to go for goal from the tightest of angles at the near post, and Florian Niederlechner smashes Augsburg into the lead.
And what a time to score it as well as we enter the final 15 minutes of this first leg. This is the away tie. This is the away tie for Yannick, and he has a 2-1 lead now, and he had the smallest of slivers to work with at that near post, and yet somehow the overpowered near post finishes still come to the fore. Lukas Hradecki ended up just sitting down. And Deto looking a little disconsolate. We've seen this from him a couple of times already in the Virtual Bundesliga Grand Final by ING. And he's having to change things. The problem is now he's been forced. We talked about the fact that he needed to break out of his shell more, Alex, but now he's been forced to. It wasn't of his own choice. It wasn't of his own volition. He now literally has no other choice but to break out of his shell. A 2-1 defeat in the first leg is not irreparable. He can certainly come back from that. But you do feel like to stand the best chance, or stand a chance, a second goal is needed in this first leg for deto.
100%, because Yannick will take full confidence. We've seen what he can do with a lead. He had a 2-goal lead against DullenMIKE, granted, conceded a goal in the second leg, but he's a man who can work wonders with a lead of any kind. And so deto is going to have to force the agenda here and push the ball forward. We saw him make those changes. Fresh legs coming on in attack. The likes of Leon Bailey and Lucas Alario now on the pitch for the Leverkusen boys. Changes as well for Yannick as well. You can see there, Frederick Jensen and Maurice Malone coming on. But I totally agree, deto does need to find the net, but what an outstanding opening game we are seeing here in this cross-console final.
Well, it has been dominant from Yannick, I have to say. Not just in terms of the possession statistics, but in terms of his defensive work off the ball and on the ball, because his ability to retain possession is also a defensive strategy, right? It gives his opponent less time to work with the ball and to try and create chances. But he's also created the better opportunities in front of goal. He arguably could be 3 or 4-1 up in this, actually. He just has a 1-goal advantage, Yannick, but there can be zero complaints with the fact that he is leading in the PS4 leg of this cross-console final.
He's leading on deto's patch, which is just going to be huge as well, because we've heard about how good Yannick is on the PlayStation. We haven't heard how good or how experienced Kai deto is on the Xbox. We're sure, of course, that he has experience enough because he's at home. He's got the Xbox at home and have been training on both consoles in preparation for reaching this cross-console final. But regardless of which console it's played on, this is all on Kai deto. He has it all to do now. A lead to overturn. This is a position he has not been in so far. In the knockout rounds, he has led in every first leg. He has led the tie. Maybe he's going to go even further behind before the end. Yannick is working the ball around the Leverkusen box. It's not a familiar position for deto to be in here.
Ooh, one last chance for the Leverkusen man now. It'll have to happen quickly. And it didn't happen quickly enough. The pass straight to Iago. The referee takes the opportunity to blow the whistle, and it is Yannick in the cross-console final of the Virtual Bundesliga who has a 1-goal advantage. He has upset the odds, so to say, like he has done all tournament. And on the PS4, it is he that picked up the victory. So the work for deto to do is considerable. But Yannick, I mean, this guy's been blowing me away all tournament. And this is it. We didn't, during the group stages, get a chance to check in with any of his games or see any of the footage of his matches or any of the highlights. But we've seen him a bit more often now in the knockout stages. And every time we have, he has impressed.
Yeah, that's it. It was weird looking at his group stage results. The first game, he got big wins. He won with 3 goals in his first game and 4 goals in the second. And then since then, he actually struggled to score goals through the rest of the group stage and actually scraped in by the skin of his teeth to get through to this stage of the knockout rounds, and then obviously beating Alex Chappie, who finished second in his group, respectively, Yannick finishing third. But since then, he has turned it on, scoring goals when he's needed to. Scored at least 3 goals in each of the ties that have got him to this point, and now he's got himself a couple as well. So it's huge for him to have turned on the heat going forward and keeping his defensive work, of course, at the other end. But for deto, this is new ground for him in the knockarounds. The first time he has suffered defeat in the first leg of any tie in this tournament so far. And he's going to have to overturn a deficit in this cross-console final second leg. Is that something that he can do? We're not sure, because we're going on to the Xbox now, which is where Yannick has been all tournament long.
All tournament long, all season long in the Virtual Bundesliga, regular season with Augsburg as well. Yeah, it's where his speciality lies. But we talked about it before the game. Which of these players who had a very similar style of play, very similar game plans, would be able to impose their will and their style of play on the opponent? And emphatically, that was Yannick in the first leg. And while deto did get the opening goal with his only real chance of the game, and should be credited for the clinical nature of that finish, Yannick imposed his will, absolutely. And if he does that again in the second leg, you can't see the result being any different. And right now, I think it's fair to say that he would be considered the favourite as things stand, not just because of that 2-1 lead, but also the manner of the victory in that one. And right now, Kai Deto Volin, a lifelong Leverkusen fan who's been a member for several years, a regular, or used to be at least a regular in the stadium. He is very much getting the Leverkusen experience here. There's a reason, Alex. They have the nickname of Wieserkusen, which to translate it basically means runners-up Leverkusen, or Leverkusen. But that essentially comes from the 2002 campaign. They finished as runners-up in the Champions League, in the Bundesliga, and in the DFL Liga Pokal. And there's a reason they've got that reputation of bottling it when it matters most. And we're wondering whether Kai Deto Volin is going to really follow in the footsteps of the team he represents.
Well, we spoke in the build-up to this whole tournament and the build-up to this game about the guy's mindset and how he's gone away off the console to fix his mind and get in the gym and, you know, get everything around his life sorted out. And these are the moments where that is going to pay dividends. It's only a 1-goal deficit, we have to remember. He's not out of this yet. We've seen how quickly these second legs can change and how quickly the leads can turn around. So it is a difficult situation for Deto. It's something he hasn't had to do so far in this tournament. He has not had to come back from behind, but now he's going to have to do it. And can he do it at the biggest time, the biggest time for him? And of course, as you said, to help his side by Leverkusen not fall at the final hurdle for yet another time. And for Augsburg, for Yannick, this is just new ground that they could be reaching. If he can hold on to lift the Meisterschale at the end of this, what a huge moment it would be for his career, especially after last season and the way he fell out right on the final hurdle with the Xbox side of things against Megabit.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about earlier his statement about learning from the setbacks and coming back stronger, and I think that has definitely been the case for Yannick in the current edition of the Virtual Bundesliga season and in this grand final, because he is a player that has been regularly written off both in the regular season and now as well, and regularly he proves everyone wrong, and so far he's doing that because, yes, he got to the Xbox final and lost to Megabit last season. He has already gone one better, but it would be even sweeter if he was able to add the crowning glory of taking the title as well for Augsburg, considering the fact that he didn't qualify through the regular season. He came through the playoffs as well. Deto did do it through the regular season with Bayer Leverkusen finishing third out of the 22 teams that compete in the Virtual Bundesliga that come from both the top tier and second division in German football. And so it really is. I mean, the storylines have been fascinating. We talked about the Cinderella story for Yannick. It looks like that's going to continue while the redemption song for Deto may be coming to an end.
Sadly, yeah, for him and for you as well, obviously supporting him with your Flamingo shirt.
It hasn't been quite the good luck charm I was hoping for in this cross-console final.
It got him to this point.
It's true.
And as I said, it's just a 1-goal lead. We've seen so many different things happen in this tournament. We've seen MoAuba come from behind and clinch a win on a golden goal. We've seen everything, to be honest. So who knows what Deto is able to bring out of himself in this Xbox final. And that's another point is when we don't have a clear view on how good Deto is on the Xbox. We haven't seen him do it very often in the last few months, and this season, of course, during the Virtual Bundesliga, he's been on the Xbox, on the PlayStation side of things. So we'll have to wait and see just how he can come about and combat this deficit he has to overturn on a different console than he's usually used to.
Yeah, indeed. Bear with us as well, because of course, in between the games, there's always a couple of minutes where you have to just listen to us. Chatterboxes go at it and try and fill the time, but we are getting ready for that second leg. They're going to be switching onto the Xbox now, which is Yannick's domain, let's say. And as Alex points out, it will be interesting to see how Deto fares on potentially unfamiliar territory. But I think in the context of gamers nowadays, Alex, he's not going to be completely unfamiliar with life on the Xbox, Deto. And I would imagine he's probably put in a few hours in the lead up to this, the grand final, the final day of the Virtual Bundesliga grand final. I'm sure he's been earnest in his pre-match preparations.
100%, as has Yannick, of course, as well. And this is what it all comes down to now. We've reached that crucial point now of the final game of the entire tournament. We've reached the point, James. We've come from the start that we had all the way back on, when was it, Tuesday or Wednesday? Wednesday it was. And now we're here on Sunday for the final game of the Virtual Bundesliga Grand Final weekend. And you know, Yannick is ahead, but as I've said, the lead is only 1 goal, and we've seen many crazy things happen. So
I was going to say, don't rule anything out in this tournament as dominant as he was.
My catchphrase comes out again, expect the unexpected.
There we go. Yannick will be hoping not to, I think, at the very least, because he's in such a commanding position coming into the second leg. And really, yeah, it's just really, given how impressive and dominant his performance was, if he can build on that, he won't want to let that slip an inch, and has every right to demand that of himself, given the way he has performed throughout this tournament, whether it be in the group stages, knockout stages, or now on the final day as well. And he has set himself up so well to give Augsburg this wonderful little bit of success story at the end of the season, because they survived relegation. That for them ultimately was priority number one in the real Bundesliga. But if they could add some silverware in the esports department with a player like Yannick going one better than he did last season, then I think that really would be a fine way for them to cap off the campaign. Of course, we've got the Zweite Bundesliga that's in action later today. Few things left to be wrapped up in that division as well, whether it be relegation or the battle for third place and a spot in the relegation playoff against Werder Bremen, who managed to sneak into 16th place on the final day with a resounding 6-1 win against Köln, while Union Berlin beat Fortuna Düsseldorf, their rivals, 3-0, and as a result, Fortuna Düsseldorf will be in the Zweite Liga next season. If I'm asking you, if we delve into the real world for a little bit, just to fill the time now, if I'm asking you for a player of the season, Alex, or maybe a highlight of the season, who jumps to mind? What stands out?
Player of the season, I can go no way other than Robert Lewandowski.
Yeah.
I know it's the cliche response because he has been crowned the Bundesliga's player of the season, but for someone like him to score 34 goals in, I believe it's only 31 appearances for him this season, not even played in all of the games, is absolutely ridiculous from him. I think if Bayern Munich do go on and claim the Champions League title again and perhaps another treble, then Lewandowski has to be a serious contender for the Ballon d'Or this season. And sort of standout highlights from the season, I think we saw so many amazing games. I think my favourite one, in fact, was Borussia Dortmund 3, Leipzig 3. It's one that I always think back about, just because it was at that crucial stage of the end of the first half of the season where Dortmund and Leipzig were in positions to challenge for the title. And in the rain, at the Signal Iduna Park, under the floodlights, it was just a magical night of Bundesliga football at its best. We saw mistakes happen, of course. Remember, Berkey made a few, which Timo Werner pounced on, but we saw Jadon Sancho at his best, and Marco Reus as well was still around and playing and fit. So if I recommended anyone to go back and watch highlights of a Bundesliga game, which you can do on the Bundesliga website, go back and check those out. That would be my highlight game of the season, I think. Yeah, that's it. And if you want to check out all the results from the Virtual Bundesliga Grand Final or the regular season as well, head to virtual.bundesliga.com. You can also get in touch on social media, on Twitter at VBL_official is the account that you need. But wherever you're watching, whether it be on a Twitch channel, a YouTube channel, a Facebook stream, whatever it is, thank you for joining us. It's been our pleasure to bring you coverage of the Virtual Bundesliga Grand Final from Wednesday and Thursday to today, the final day where everything will be decided. And this is the final game, or should be, I should say. There could be a golden goal, there could be a third game in there, but this should be the final game of the Virtual Bundesliga Grand Final by ING. It is Yannick of Augsburg with a 2-1 lead after a first leg on the PlayStation 4. We now switch to his domain, the Xbox One, to close out the show on a fantastic season in the esports world. The standards have been set from start to finish. Werder Bremen clinched the team title in the Virtual Bundesliga regular season. But who will become the new champion? Who will claim Megabit's title to be named the best FIFA 20 player in Germany this season? Yannick has the advantage. The question is, will he be able to hold on to it? Will he be able to extend it, perhaps, is the other side of that, Alex? Yeah, that's it. He's starting well here and trying to keep possession. Deto knows that, as we've said so many times, the first goal in this game will be crucial, especially in this one. A 2-goal lead for Yannick is something that has rarely ever been overturned against him. I doubt it to happen again in the final. He reaches the bar line, but good block there from Tapsoba. Some early defensive work for the African defender. Yeah, that's it. Deto struggled all of last game. The first leg, the only real time that he broke through the defence of Yannick was to score that opening goal of the game with Stanilovic. But now here's Yannick breaking through again. Oh, a big block though, once more from Tapsoba at the last gasp from the Leverkusen defender. Good early pressure from Yannick here.
He's so measured and so composed on the ball, Yannick. Here's a chance for Niederlechner, looking for that near post finish. The angle of the body working against him on that occasion. No one to meet the corner at the near post, but he's going to get another chance to put the ball in the mix. Bayer was looking for the cut back to the edge of the area, but in the end, it was cut out by Kai Havertz. But immediately, Yannick setting his stall on his console of choice, the Xbox One. Looking to defend that 2-1 first leg lead to crown himself the cross-console champion in the solo edition of the Virtual Bundesliga season. And the fact is, this measured and composed approach is so sound defensively, Alex, at times, but it also has to be said, the fact that he's still been able to create so many chances, and we've had 2 early ones here in the opening 15 minutes of the second leg, really speaks volumes of the qualities he brings to the table.
100%. Totally, it does. And for Deto as well now, it's difficult to really go beyond the expectations that he knows he's only going to have a couple of clear-cut chances in this game just because of how good Yannick is. Deto really has to push forward here, try and come out of sitting back and allowing Yannick to dictate the possession like this. He has to squeeze and press high, but Niederlechner is finding openings. He just couldn't get the pass there across to Marco Richter that would have been on for a potential opening goal in this second leg.
But look at his ability to win the ball back quickly off Deto. Deto spends a good, let's say, 30 seconds to 60 seconds waiting for Yannick to get the ball towards his box when he can then win possession back, whereas Yannick is able to win it and seemingly get touch tight to opponents more effectively than Deto has in this cross-console final so far.
It's just going to keep building frustration for Deto if he's trying to get forward like he is, trying to do some defending work here. Hradecki comes to his aid to make a save, but as you said, Yannick is the one who's powering forward, almost a headed goal there from Felix Udekai as well from the corner. It's just building the frustration for Deto that he's trying to play his own way, and Yannick is just not allowing it at any point. It means that you might have to go for a plan B or plan C early on, change formation, change personnel, maybe go for a long ball tactic or try and work the ball wide and overlap with the fullback. It's things he has to consider quickly because time is running out quickly for him to come back into this game.
Well, this is it. In the interview between the games, he talked about the fact that he didn't watch Yannick's Xbox One 2-legged final against DullenMIKE. He felt that he would be able to adapt to anything that Yannick threw at him in this cross-console final. I think it's fair to say his assessment was wrong. He hasn't really been able to adapt against what Yannick has thrown at him, at least not in the manner that he's been able to be successful himself. It really has been very reactive as opposed to proactive. And as a result, Yannick is the one dictating the pace and style of proceedings.
Oh, that's a fantastic ball.
What a pass! The keeper went on walkabouts. He remonstrates with his back line, but the keeper will have to take the blame there. The chance opened up for Deto. It was a golden opportunity, and the player of Deto's quality was never going to miss.
What an outstanding pass that is from the pass master, Kai Havertz. Yannick takes control of the goalkeeper, tries to guess which way he's going to go. Deto moves the ball across, moves the keeper, sorry, across his goal. Kai Deto is comfortable enough and composed enough to read that and go the right way, but what an outstanding free ball that was from Kai Havertz. The first time we've seen him open up. And I was going to mention, that was the first time Deto really was patient with his build-up. He kept the ball for a good couple of minutes there and kept it with his back line and played it right the way through his team, and in the end it works out to lead him to a goal. Now he has defending to do at the other end as Niederlechner works around the Leverkusen box. How can Yannick respond before the break?
And of course, in the first leg, it was Deto who scored first in that one as well. Yannick pulling it back to win at 2-1. Here is Richter on the ball. Niederlechner out to Finn Bogerson. And he's earned himself the corner as we draw closer to half-time, or he has not. It's a goal kick, Alex. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Sometimes it's hard to spot which player it comes off of, especially from all the way over here in Cologne when this game is taking place in the Bavarian south of Augsburg, of course.
Yeah, that is it. It's a tricky feat, but we do our best.
Reminder, of course, as you can see at the top of your screen, first leg lead for Yannick, 2-1. 2-2 as it stands, but Yannick will not go to victory straight away on the away goals rule. If it stays level like this, we will have a third and deciding golden goal game. But importantly, as it stands, if that game ended 0-0, Yannick would be crowned the champion on the away goals that he scored in this cross-console final. So still advantage to Yannick at the moment, but
the slimmest of margins.
The slimmest of margins, and he will not like having this advantage. He will want to come out in the second half and try and get himself a winning goal. Deto, though, showing some good signs of pressing as well at the end of this first half in midfield.
Yeah, Yannick looking to carve out one final chance before the half-time whistle goes. Niederlechner does well to hold off Tapsoba, but loses out in the end. And as a result, it is very much game on in the cross-console final at half-time. It's Deto with a 1-goal lead in the second leg to level the scores at 2-2 on aggregate. And it sets us up so well for this second half. And Alex, I have to admit, I'm kind of in the same camp I was when we were watching MoAuba and Deto face off earlier. I wouldn't say no to a bit of an extended game. I wouldn't say no to a third match and maybe a chance at golden goal in this one. And Yannick, for me, doesn't really have to break too far away from his game plan. Yes, a setback, but stay true to what you've been doing. And I would anticipate him being successful at the end of this. But given the fact that they're level on the score lines now, it really is all to play for, and this could go either way, I think.
The reality is that Deto still has only broken through once in that first half with that amazing through ball, and it did take something special from him to make that breakthrough and find the back of the net. So for Yannick, no need to change anything. We've seen Deto do some tactical changes there, moving things around with his defensive midfielders in preparation for the start of the second half. This is the big one, the final 45 minutes, perhaps, potentially, of the cross-console final to crown a champion. 6-minute half, so we'll have 6 more minutes here of FIFA in the Virtual Bundesliga Grand Final. And yeah, that's it. Yannick is still in control of this game. He's had well over 60% of possession. Only one real chance for Deto. He did take it, and it took something special, so Yannick can sit there quietly confident and think, I'm still in a good position here because I know what I'm capable of. Proved it by coming from behind in that first leg to win it 2-1. What can he do here as we get things back underway?
Yeah, the pulse rates will be high. The nerves will be a little bit frayed. I'm sure there may be a few beads of sweat rolling down a forehead or two in this final 45 minutes of the cross-console final in the Virtual Bundesliga Grand Final. We are ready to crown a new champion. Megabit got knocked out in the quarter-final stages of the Xbox One bracket. Megabit, the player that knocked out Yannick in the Xbox One final last season. This time, Yannick beating DullenMIKE to book his ticket to the cross-console final. And he's seen his first leg advantage disappear thanks to that goal from Deto, who has already lined up a pause in anticipation of making further changes.
Sometimes it might be a tactical move because he knows the ball is unlikely to go out for the next 10 minutes or so. Smart move from Deto in reality.
Look at that as well. The possession statistics there at the top of your screen. Earlier in the game, Yannick had 68%. That has been cut down to 55. And so really maybe a sign that Deto is starting to impose his will on this game. It's the thing that we talked about. Whichever player would swing it in their favour would ultimately likely come out on top. Yannick did it emphatically in the first leg, but Deto has come on strong in the second.
Started really well here in the opening 10 minutes. Wins his side a corner there as well. See what he does with this pause that he has scheduled. A few tactical changes perhaps.
Oh, that face cam denying us a chance to know exactly what he's doing, but if it's a choice between bomb forward or stay back, I'm pretty sure he's telling his wing backs to bomb forward, isn't he?
Yeah, at this stage, why not? You're level on the score in this game. It's either a golden goal or bust at the moment. Hopefully, with the way he started this second half, Deto will definitely have confidence of continuing to push on for another goal in this game, which would put him into the lead for the second time in this tie. He did lead the first leg, before Yannick pegged him back. And here we are, final 30 minutes. Deto really has started the second half well. Yannick pressing no, winning the ball well there in midfield and showing still, again, what he is capable of.
Yeah, the big difference as well from the first leg is Deto took a lead early, but Yannick was quick to find an equaliser. Right now, he is allowing Deto to gain more and more confidence the longer it stays at 1-0. And yes, while that won't be enough for him to take the title, should things stand this way, feel like the fact that Yannick hasn't got that early equaliser may work against him a little bit. Deto, the 31-year-old, drawing on all of his experience. Yannick, more fresh-faced, but still with a good bit of facial hair, it has to be said, for a 19-year-old. I could not grow a beard like that at the age of 19, Alex, I can tell you that. But it's Yannick coming forward, the patient approach. Will it produce a chance? And then the question is, can he take that chance? The answer, no so far, but he's got another bite at the apple here. Leuven. Not a lot of space and time to work with. Richter curls one. Oh, it's a beauty. An absolute stunner from Yannick with Marco Richter. Has pulled him level in the second leg and put him back ahead. 3-1 on aggregate now.
Huge.
3-2, excuse me. 3-2 on aggregate.
Huge for Yannick there. The first time we've seen him really have attacking pressure like that in this second leg. Just really took his time, and in the end, he played it to Marco Richter, put it onto his favoured right foot, and the space just opened up for that finesse shot, and he put the power right behind it. Perfect timing on it as well, and with 20 minutes to go, as you say, James, that has put Yannick ahead once again, and now it is on Deto once more. Can he get another goal to send us back towards a third decisive game? Advantage back on Yannick, and that is the first time in the last 5 minutes or so. It had been a good start from Deto in the second half, but Yannick has come back in the last 5 minutes and quickly made the most of that amount of possession that he'd built up in the last couple of minutes, just sitting around the Leverkusen edge of the box. And as I said, just a space opened up for Richter, and a finish that followed was stunning, as you see. Finessed all the blocking, trying to get in the way of it, but no chance.
Hradecki, full stretch, but beyond his fingertips, so the advantage is back with Yannick. And it's hard to imagine him letting this lead slip now. But it was that phase of pressure that Deto just couldn't break. And he's looking to respond quickly here. Great chance, it's blocked. And in the end, it's going to come to nothing.
Frustration there for Deto, because that's a real opening. He had so much space there. I think it was Palacios that was coming in from the edge of the box to have that shot on his left foot. Can he get more going? I think we're going to see only one man really attacking in these final 15 minutes. Yannick's just going to do a lot of that, winning the ball and booting it back up the other end of the pitch as soon as he can.
Yeah, batten down the hatches, reinforce the defences, get as many men behind the ball as possible. It does invite pressure, but Yannick has shown in the past that he can withstand that type of pressure late on in games. A little bounce in the chair from Deto.
Yeah, he's getting in the right positions, is Deto, but the final pass is just not going the way he needs to. He had to work a wonderful pass from Kai Havertz to open the scoring for him, and he needs something special like that again, you feel, to get himself back into this tie. Less than 10 minutes to go now, and Yannick is pushing himself forward as well with Niederlechner now.
To wrap up the win, the cutback is behind everyone. That was a chance for Yannick to seal the deal. Instead now, priority once again switches back to defending. Less than 10 minutes of FIFA time remaining. Diaby, the offside flag up against the young Frenchman, and now for Deto, this will be one last roll of the dice, Alex.
He's just having a look at what he can potentially change, and he's not going to go for anything here. Interestingly enough, he seems happy with his setup, but time is really running out on him. And as I said, he's only had one opening in this game. If if he is going to get back into this one and force a third game, it is going to have to be something special, because you just don't see him opening up Yannick any other way than having a one-off amazing moment of FIFA, because Yannick is the man in control of this tie. He's in control of the game.
Yeah, either that or he needs Yannick to make a mistake, and we just haven't seen Yannick put a foot wrong in this tournament when we have watched him play.
Not at all, and that's why he's at this level, and that's why in this final he is on the verge of becoming the Virtual Bundesliga Grand Final champion for the first time in his career.
Well, can I ask you as well, do you think Yannick does have an advantage having people in the room with him and fostering some of that environment that he would have been in if this had been a normal Virtual Bundesliga Grand Final where it was in an event hall with a crowd and a team behind you? Deto doing it all alone, and Yannick, we believe, is the only person that has had this team of people behind him in the same room.
Yeah, I think it's a huge advantage because it's what they're used to in these tournaments, you know. They want to have that tournament feeling, especially when, as this is a unprecedented event at the moment with the tournament not taking place in an arena. We see their tactical move from Deto to push even more men forward, as expected, with time running out, and these guys just taking a breather here, to be honest, in the final 10 minutes.
To be honest, I think it must be nice. The nerves are 100% being frayed right now, but you've got to think Yannick, given how little time is left in the game, he's actually feeling quite comfortable.
Yeah.
As comfortable as you can be in a cross-console grand final when you're looking to clinch a title, and with it, 25,000 euros. 10,000 to the runner-up, which, as things stands, will be Deto. But will there be another twist in the tail? Because we do not have a lot of time for it. And Yannick has brought on defensive reinforcements. Deto ready to go all-out attack.
Needs to press here now, because as much as Yannick will want to just keep possession, he'll push it forward like he is doing here.
Fresh legs with Malone. Niederlechner in the middle to aim for. He goes in alone with Malone. A good save by Hradecki, not going to be beaten at his near post once again in this cross-console final.
This is superb from Yannick. Keeping the ball is one thing, but pushing on yourself to go forward and potentially get the winning goal. Oh, it's almost there for Niederlechner. Hradecki with a last-ditch save. But this is exactly where Yannick wants the ball to be.
Yeah, we saw him do this against DullenMIKE as well. Happy to see out a few vital seconds in the corner, down by the corner flag. Not what you want to see when you're the opponent, but that was so close to being the goal that could have wrapped it all up early for Yannick. And we talked about there being the last throw of the dice for Deto. He's obviously got one more in his pocket. Look at that, 5 saves made by Lukas Hradecki in this second leg as well. And it once again underlines the fact that Yannick's defensive qualities are brilliant, but it doesn't prevent him. He's not your typical FIFA player that can't create chances or maybe thrives off of creating only 1 or 2 chances a game. No, he will put you on the back foot as well. And right now, attack is his best form of defense, but he's got to be careful not to give the ball away from the corner.
Frustration now building for Deto. He needs to win the ball back right away from this throw-in.
Well, the thing is, he can be frustrated, but let's be honest, he'd be doing the same thing if he was in Yannick's shoes.
Of course, of course. You can't blame Yannick for what he's doing here. Time is running out, and it looks like unless a chance can happen here for Deto, pushing the ball forward quickly.
Yannick happy to foul, but the foul not given, and that will wrap it up. Yannick Berdeke of Augsburg has been crowned the Virtual Bundesliga Grand Final champion. A 3-2 win on aggregate in the cross-console final against Deto. And what a final it was, Alex. But it is Yannick who takes the crown. Megabits title not defended. We have a new champion, 19-year-old Yannick Berdeke. And to be honest, the way this tournament has gone, it's hard to argue against him not deserving this title win, Alex.
Fully deserving, especially in that final, the way he dictated the play in the first leg. And then, as we spoke about in the second leg, just keep him to his way of playing, especially right at the end. We saw for the final 10 minutes, Deto was going to go all out, but he didn't have a chance to touch the ball. And so hopefully in a minute, we'll be able to speak to the new Grand Final champion, Yannick, when he's speaking to our German colleagues. But till then, we could just praise him because he's been outstanding all tournament long. He's built his way up. He had a slightly rough start at the beginning of the group stage phase where he lost a couple of ties, but since then, as you said before, he's been unbeaten and he's been outstanding all the way throughout, and I believe a totally deserving winner of the grand final crown.
That's it. It was a Cinderella story for him, but instead of finding the slipper, he's found 25,000 euros and a Meisterschale as well, which certainly isn't too bad. But he really is a defining story that I think a lot of young esports, pros and also aspiring esports players can look to. He suffered the setback last season of losing in the Xbox One final to the eventual winner, Megabit. But it is he this season who has taken that setback, learnt from it, built on it, and he is now the man who has taken that title off of Megabit, the man that knocked him out of the tournament last season. And it really is an incredible Cinderella story for someone that was a competitor in the regular Virtual Bundesliga season with Augsburg, but had to make his way into the grand final via the playoffs. He has had to battle his whole way to the top. He was written off on a number of occasions in the playoffs. He was written off on a number of occasions in the grand final as well. And it got a little dicey at times, but he made it matter when it mattered most. And ultimately, as I say, a very deserving champion. I think deto would have been too. I mean, a little sad to see the one over 30-year-old representing us over 30s in the tournament fall short at the final hurdle. I mean, it's a bitter pill to swallow for deto. But on the whole, he can be delighted with his whole, not just Virtual Bundesliga season, but his grand final tournament as well. Yes, he fell short, but he acquitted himself so well. He picked up huge, huge wins. The win against MoAuba today was vital and really had us getting very excited about his prospects of taking the whole thing.
Huge. And it all comes down to, the whole last few years. It's been for deto, as you said, the oldest guy in the competition, and we're going to be able to speak to the finalists here.
Herzlichen Glückwunsch an euch beide. Das war echt ein geiles Finale.
Congratulating both, saying it was a great final, which it was.
Ja, Yannick, erzähl einmal kurz, was war bei euch los in eurer Augsburger Loge?
They've got one of the VIP boxes.
Habt ihr was geplant? Gibt es jetzt Musik im Stadion? Ist nochmal über die Beschallung und irgendwie eine Zeremonie auf dem Platz unten?
Geplant ist nichts, aber ich glaube, da lassen wir uns schon was einfallen jetzt.
So they haven't planned any celebrations, but they'll see how things go.
Ja, ich habe schon gehört, du hast dir gerade nochmal ein Wasser eingegossen, da geht noch mehr. Kai, Junge, du hast gerade die Augen gerollt, als ich gesagt habe, schönes Finale. Es war doch trotzdem sauknapp am Ende. Bist du nicht auch ein bisschen stolz? Natürlich willst du deutscher Meister sein, aber am Ende, ey.
And asking him whether he's at least proud of being the PlayStation 4 champion in Germany.
Ich hader so ein bisschen, wie ich die ganze Sache angegangen bin. Also das 1-0 war gut und dann direkt unglücklich so ein bisschen das Gegentor bekommen und die ganze Zeit permanent.
So he felt he started well in that first leg, scoring the opening goal, and is lamenting the fact that the equalizer from Yannick came so quickly.
Zudem hat Yannick auch so gespielt, dass jeder Angriff so 10 Minuten ging und meine Spieler schon automatisch rausgerückt sind. Das ist echt übelst hart. Das passiert eigentlich nicht so oft.
Yannick's patient approach meant that he was attacking for a good extended period, almost 10 minutes of FIFA time, and as a result, his defenders were forced to come out of position.
Ich bin nicht das falsch angegangen, aber
and he felt that everything was still possible in the second leg.
Hast du auf der Xbox aber trotzdem
in hindsight says he may have approached that second leg not in the right manner.
Für euch alle selbstverständlich, aber wie groß ist so ein Nachteil für dich auch gefühlt, also auf der anderen Konsole dann ran zu müssen?
Also die Konsole zu spielen war sogar angenehmer, das Spiel war schneller und flüssiger, der Controller ist halt ungewohnt, dementsprechend.
So he's not a massive fan of the Xbox controller. He said that was a bit foreign to him, but he felt like the flow and speed of play was actually good for him. And ultimately that it is, at the end of the day, the same game, so he can't make any excuses, which I think is a valuable thing to say.
Was war denn jetzt exakt der entscheidende Unterschied zwischen dir und Yannick, gerade im Angriffsspiel?
So he's just been asked what the big difference he felt was between him and Yannick in the attacking element of the game.
Er hat sich im ersten Spiel zurückgelehnt und alles hinten reingestellt und ich habe dann schon aufgemacht. Wie gesagt, das war ein Fehler und das ist schwer zu erklären.
So he felt that Yannick set his stall to maybe part the bus a little bit. That forced him to break out of his shell, but he actually feels like that was a bad thing for his game.
Aber ich hätte das ein bisschen anders angehen
gives credit Yannick for a fine performance. And he feels like he can only learn from this situation.
Wie nass ist dein Controller jetzt?
Komplett durchgeschwitzt. Also wirklich komplett. Ich saß hier auch dran mit Handtuch.
He even had a towel for the sweaty hands, Yannick, and they're asking how sweaty the controller got. He said, very.
Ja, das haben wir nämlich auch
ja,
so
natürlich
gesehen.
war ich mega nervös.
and
Und
said
wie
he
war die
was
Unterstützung
indeed
von deinem
incredibly nervous
Team? Wo
about
sind sie denn
facing
eigentlich? Wo wird
Deto
nicht gefeiert?
on the Xbox in that second leg, despite having that first leg lead.
Die feiern schon auch.
He
Einer
says
fehlt
the
von deinem
people
Team,
that we
haben wir
saw
vorhin
in the
nicht gesehen.
VIP
Wo ist denn dein
box
Einhorn?
with him are already
Leider nicht
celebrating.
dabei heute.
Was?
Oh, he doesn't have his unicorn.
Jetzt abgeschafft. Nie wieder mitnehmen, Junge.
Da muss ich unterbrechen. Das sitzt zu Hause mit meiner Mama auf der Couch.
Oh, sitting on the couch with his mum at home. But that's been his good luck charm. They were saying he should get rid of it, seeing as he won the final without it. But it seems like the unicorn is going to still be a fixture in the life of Yannick.
Danke für dieses geile Finale an euch beide. Und ja, ihr seid ja nicht bei uns hier in München, beziehungsweise wir wären ja sonst in Köln sowieso gewesen zum großen Finale, aber wollen jetzt zumindest virtuell noch versuchen, die Schale zu übergeben. Deshalb ja, das können wir euch nicht mehr beide sozusagen auf die Virtualität heben. Deshalb danke an dich, Kai, Deto. Tolle Saison trotzdem gespielt und
Ja, wir sehen uns auf
bis
jeden
zum
Fall
nächsten
wieder.
Jahr. Ja.
Du bist ja nicht tot zu
Danke schön.
kriegen.
Ich möchte an der Stelle nochmal ganz kurz meinem ganzen Team danken, alle, die mich unterstützt haben, die Fans.
Yeah, Deto just saying
Ich
thank
bin
you to
super stolz auf
everyone
euch alle und
that
ich
supported
hoffe,
him throughout the
ihr seid trotzdem
season, the
zufrieden mit mir.
Leverkusen
Und Glückwunsch an
employees
Yannick.
that were behind him,
That's it,
and wants
Danke,
to again say
letzte Worte.
congratulations
Sehr,
to
sehr schön.
Yannick as
Danke
well.
an Deto.
The
Dankeschön,
presenters there congratulating for them for their great seasons, and now we are going to try and do a
dass die Sprudelwasser
virtual
kaltgestellt sind und wir haben
ceremony
wir haben was vorbereitet. Ich
or
freu mich
title
sehr.
lifting ceremony. I wonder whether they both got sent a version of the Meisterschale to do
Hätten
it.
wir euch, die Spieler, Yannick, gerne heute hier gehabt. Das geht aus gegebenem
Talking
Anlass
about the fact
natürlich
that
nicht.
They would, of
Aber
course, love to have the
keine
players in
Meisterschaft
attendance with
ohne
them.
die
These guys
Übergabe
on
der
RAN
Meisterschale.
down in Munich.
Und
We're in
ich glaube,
Cologne.
das ist das erste Mal in der Geschichte, dass jetzt eine virtuelle Meisterschalen
So this is gonna be a virtual
stattfinden wird.
championship,
bist
a
du
first ever.
gebrieft, was jetzt
Virtual
passiert? Wir wissen
title
selber noch
ceremony.
nicht genau, wie das aussieht. Ich würde sagen, wir versuchen das jetzt einfach mal. Wir gratulieren dem deutschen Meister der Virtual Bundesliga Saison 2020, dem FC Augsburg und Yannick. Herzlichen Glückwunsch an dich.
What on earth?
Das ist deine virtuelle
Absolutely brilliant. I love it. Hey, we've got to get creative in these times, and that is creative. But congratulations to Yannick of Augsburg for being crowned the German champion 2020 on FIFA 20. A 25,000 cash prize to go along with the Meisterschale that will be sent to him. They're having fun with it in the studios. We have had a lot of fun with it here.
Habt eine gute Partynacht in Augsburg zusammen mit deinem
Moment,
Bruder.
Max, Moment. Wir können ihn noch nicht entlassen. Ich will jetzt noch wissen, wir haben die ganze Zeit darüber gesprochen, Yannick, dass jetzt vielleicht die Profikarriere ansteht und du erstmal dich ein Jahr aufs FIFA-Spiel
Da sehen wir es.
konzentrierst.
25.000
Ja,
Euro.
25.000 Euro gab es für den Titel. Also das möchte ich jetzt noch wissen. Ist das jetzt hiermit beschlossene Sache?
So they're asking
Beschlossene
Yannick.
Sache würde ich noch nicht sagen, dass es ist.
Dann
Nein,
sag's doch im Fernsehen, dann ist es beschlossen, dann haben wir alle gehört.
Well, okay, so they were asking whether he was going to officially turn pro. It sounds like
Yeah,
he's
but
still
du
very much
überlegst es dir noch mal, aber
split
es ist
as to whether he's going to
ein Anreiz, das
pursue a
vielleicht zu
career as a lawyer or as an esports
Ja,
pro,
das auf jeden Fall.
but he wasn't
Vielen
going
Dank an
to
dich. Feier
set his
schön,
decision
feier
in
ruhig
stone.
heute mal ein bisschen zu wild und wir haben noch eine Sache und zwar was ein Ding, sage ich einfach mal. Bitteschön.
Nice to see for Yannick. Obviously, for him, two perfect avenues to go down. I'm either going to be a lawyer or a professional esports player. And who would argue against either of those things coming to fruition after the way you won that championship? The German champion of the Virtual Bundesliga of 2020. Incredible.
And someone that, let's be honest, Alex, no one had on the cards as a potential winner when the Virtual Bundesliga Grand Final got underway on Wednesday. And that, I have to say, I love a good underdog story, but this is a fantastic one. We've called it a Cinderella story for him as well. And I think it very much is the case, and it's been wonderful to see.
Yeah, he's going to be up there with MoAuba now as one of the guys to be at the top of the esports game. He's done what Megabit did in the past, and MoAuba obviously won the FIFA World Cup. Can Yannick now go on and potentially make himself a professional and go onto that global stage? We'll have to wait and see in the coming months.
The fact is, what we have seen in this tournament, what we saw in the Virtual Bundesliga regular season as well, is that German esports in the FIFA scene is on the rise. There are some very talented young players coming through the ranks. One of them has been crowned our champion, Yannick Berdeker of Augsburg, the 2020 Virtual Bundesliga solo champion. And for now, James Surrogate joined by Alex Chaffer. It's been our pleasure to bring you coverage of the action. We hope you've enjoyed it. In the end, an underdog has won the title. We've had a great lot of pleasure bringing you coverage of it. So from us, thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you again next season.